Hey button pushers, my name is Nick and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. We are on the trajectory of the old faith. We are an Inquisitor, we've gone back to Anizotte and we are building up the Inquisition to be as strong as it can, and there's a certain ending that I'm aiming for. Whether it's a good ending or not, it probably isn't, but that is the one I'm going for. I have already made one critical error, because there was the Inquisition power stat, and there was Tolerance of Faith was the other one, which I assumed, potentially quite stupidly, was the power of the new faith. It wasn't. I knocked it down and basically made everyone go a little bit crazy, so the lesson learned on that one. But let us continue. I'm thinking this is possibly going to be the last episode of the Old Faith playthrough. But I'm not sure. The Patriarch's Sermon. Thanks to Father Ulrich's efforts, Cassius has lost much of his support among the clergy and the flock. But today, the Patriarch has summoned the people to his evening sermon in a clear bid to regain their trust. The ending I'm going for is... Cassius faces the tribunal. So Inquisition power is already in a good position, and I just need to get evidence against Cassius. So we'll see how that goes. With several champions of faith for an escort, you walk to the square by the Silver Tree to hear the Patriarch speak. Cassius stands tall above the worshippers, his feet firmly planted on the stairs leading into the temple. The old believers crowd the centre of the square, while the new believers, led by Father Lennart, stand on the outer edge. You arrive at the square as the sermon is about to begin. The Patriarch calls for silence, and the din of the crowd dies down in an instant. He speaks in a sombre voice, clearly chosen for this purpose. As Cassius addresses the crowd, he lifts his arms towards the heavens. As time goes by, the false teachings of Patriarch Photus are spreading further and further, poisoning our land. Every day I try to guide people to the true path, to save those led astray by the heresy of the new faith, and when I saw that our brethren from the Order of the Inquisition had paid us a visit, I felt great joy, for I knew they were here to purge all lies and apostasy from the province of Margra. But then my trust was betrayed. Those who were supposed to guard the true faith deceived us all. Those who have sworn an oath to the twins to purge all heresy now abet it. They were supposed to be my strength, but they have turned against me. Well, you have been a bit shady. And also, old faith shows no mercy. Hundreds of eyes turn to you, stern, unblinking. They came here to revile me and besmirch my name. They have clouded the minds of my flock and turned my brethren against me. I mean, that's fair. We have done that. And now I call upon you, Brother Niklaus. You must now answer for your order, for I will tolerate this treatment no longer. Come to me now. Approach me and accept my blessing. Kneel before me and kiss my hands, so that all may see that you are humble servants of the Church. Show everyone that the Order of the Inquisition stands with the true faith. The crowd parts before you, forming a narrow passage to the temple stairs. The Patriarch extends his hands to you. Kissing it would be a public statement, tantamount to acknowledging that the Order sides with Cassius and supports him and the Old Faith. But do you have a reason to challenge the Patriarch? Is this the time to openly confront him and his entire flock? So kiss the Patriarch's hand, which knocks down my Inquisition power. Refuse, I die. Okay. Good. Okay, so I can only accuse Cassius if Father Ulrich is my master. Which he ain't. Okay. This is a problem. I'm gonna have to kiss the Patriarch's hand. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh god, so this knocks my Inquisition power down by 2. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna have the option to rebuild this, because I don't have a backup plan. My alternative is death. Okay. This is off to a good start, isn't it? You approach the Patriarch slowly, your shoulders buckling beneath the weight of 1,000 stairs. Every step yields with great effort. You overcome the last step of the stairs and stand in front of Cassius, and, as quickly as you can, you lean down to kiss his hand. The mob explodes with shouts of elation. The champions of faith escorting you kneel behind you. while the Lennarts and the New Believers leave the square quietly, their faces full of disappointments. There are several more ceremonial gestures and signs, and then a brief prayer. To be fair, I do support the old faith, I just don't support Cassius. Rise, Inquisitor, be the shield of my flock in the true faith. With my word and my blessing, serve them well. You rise from your knees and leave the square. The old believers celebrate around you, shouting praise for their Patriarch. Okay. I mean, that was good for my reputation. Okay, so the Hunt for Tommas. So we know this. So Tommas is in real big trouble. He has sent a letter to you for help. So am I going to help him or not? Let us see. So I don't get involved. In which case Tommas dies. Hide in the temple. Oh wow, that kills me. Jesus. And also Inquisition power down, so nope. Ooh, interesting. So Archduke Melanidas can help me. Cool, so that actually doesn't impact me negatively in any way. I can't improve on diplomacy, it's already maxed, but Tommas gets to live, so you know what? Let's do that. Oh, Mr. Melanidas. Crumpling the note in your hand, you pace the room and think. You can't abandon your friend in his hour of need. But Otten is the high command of Margaret. Opposing him on your own would be unwise. It's time to call in a favour. It's no secret that Sir Otten is fully devoted to his lord and sovereign Archduke Melanidas. One word from the Archduke and Otten will surrender any thought of pursuing some obscure Legion officer. You're no noble, which means that the Archduke would never pay you any mind, but you're fortunate enough to have the right connections. You reach for a quill and compose a petition in defence of Captain Tommas Guerra, an innocent and honest servant of the Empire. Every single word of the petition is carefully chosen. You make no demands and offer nothing that could incriminate Otten directly. This is merely a most humble request, a plea for the Archduke to save the life of a harmless little human. You're confident that the letter will find its way to Archduke. Your past achievements will see to that. You spend the next few days in great unease, hoping that Tommas is able to evade Otten's men in the interim. Then, finally, you have a reply. You receive a note from the Archduke, written in indifferent haste. Brante, puny petitions for non-entities do not ordinarily deserve even the tiniest moment of my time, but in this case, I will be merciful. Sir Otten has been told to hunt other prey for his amusement. As for Tommas Guerra, he shall leave the Legion immediately, never to be seen by His Excellency again. Tarquinius of Melanidas, Archduke of Margaret. You heave a sigh of relief. Otten would never defy his sovereign, the Archduke. Tommas is safe. You set off to find Tommas and bring him the good news. You eventually find the place where your friend has taken shelter, an attic above a shabby inn. You've not seen him for quite a while, but he looks a decade older already. It pains you to see him so downcast. When you break the news of the Archduke's intervention to Tommas, he looks very conflicted indeed. Really? Otten agreed to let me off the hook if I quit the Legion? Oh, I can't believe the Archnians even bothered to listen to you. Does that mean I'm finally free of this harassment? Thank you, my friends. You've saved me from true death. But if I leave the Legion, what will I do then? That's the most humiliating thing there is. All the work I put into joining the military would be wasted. I'd have no job, no pay, and I'd never be a nobleman again. Oh, sorry, Nicholas. I don't mean to seem ungrateful. It's just, I've got to think about what to do with my life now. But at least I'll get to live it. And it's all thanks to you. You're welcome, I guess. Oh god. Oh god, it's getting towards the end and I don't have enough Inquisition power. Oh no! A sinner's confession. Dusk falls. After a hot day, the city begins to cool down. The skies grow darker, the pillar begins to shine brighter on the horizon. The people of Anizotte leave their homes to enjoy an evening stroll. This is what you see today from the windows of your aesthetic lodging at the Inquisition ward. How many years has it been since you returned home? What have you achieved in this time? Every year, Margaret descends deeper into chaos. The schism between the old faith and the new is tearing the church apart. Patriarch Cassius now openly opposes the Inquisition, and you're still not sure the report against the Patriarch was true. You're running out of precious time, but the truth is just as elusive as it was the day you came home to Anizotte. If a priest has questions, who can answer them? Who can guide those who offer guidance? A thin book finds its way into your hands. Profound revelation. a collection of all known speeches by the Elder preserved in the writings of Prophet Anizotte. You open the book, and your eyes find the words once spoken by a living God. And the Elder said, I and mine own brother did stand amidst the world, and together we revealed ourselves to them in flesh, and we found them all besotted. And yet they thirsted not, and sorrow did fill our souls, for their hearts were blind, and they did not see that they enter this world as empty vessels. But now they are besotted. Should they reject the wine, they will beg for mercy, but they shall have none. And my brother shall judge them, and each shall obtain retribution in the full measure of his deeds, whilst I remain apart in my sorrow. As you meditate over this, you suddenly hear some sort of commotion on the floor below. How strange. The Inquisition ward is supposed to be empty at this late hour. You hurry down the stairs. There are several champions of faith dragging a chained man down to the Inquisition dungeons. It's your younger brother. Nathan! Nathan's been spending most of his time away from home lately. You're not sure when you last saw him. His clothes are torn and tattered, his unwashed hair is tangled, and stubble covers his face. He is brazenly drunk, unable to stand. Even from so far away, he reeks of vomit and urine. Inquisitor Nicholas, I didn't think I'd find you here. My men caught us drunk by a temple. People told us he was cursing at the twins and pissing under their statues. We found him on his knees in a puddle of his own filth. He must have been praying for their forgiveness. The fool. Even a child knows the younger never stays his hands. He's so drunk we couldn't even get his name out of him. I'd let him sleep it off before the interrogation if I were you. You thank the captain for his information, but insist on interrogating the man right away. As you wish. The night watchman will be right here. Just give us a shout if you need us. Nathan sprawls on the floor, motionless. You hold a thin slab of silver in your hands and pray to the Elder for a cure. The silver melts into thin air. Your brother winces and squirms as if in pain, but soon grows quiet. His eyelids flutter open. His eyes are filled with animal terror. Nicholas, where am I? You tell him everything Captain Agoronim just told you, then ask Nathan to explain what happened. He sits up, squeezing his knees to his chest. His voice is very quiet. It'll be a long story, brother. You won't like it when you hear it, but I don't care. If it's you, I'll be honest. I've rejected the twins. I've rejected the twins several years ago now. Their will and love and law mean nothing to me anymore. Our gods are merciless. Their law is brutal, ruthless. Their love is an abuse. Their will is tyrannical. What? You can't help but glance around the interrogation room. Are you sure that no one heard your brother's blasphemy? I couldn't live by the law of my birth like Anizotte wants us to. I turned to the new faith and tried to find my own path to the twins, but it just showed me I don't hate my path. I hate the gods themselves. I met a man once by the name of Father Mark. He was kind to me. He gave me the answers I needed. He guided me to the path I was looking for, a path away from the twins. Is Father Mark the guy who came to the print shop when I had it and wanted to print a book that basically said, "Oh, the gods are shit"? That could have been Father Mark. Mark teaches the twins are nothing but absolute will, and we're all going to be dissolved in it in the hereafter. Everything we are will be gone. Mark says that the mortal world is the only place where we're free to reject the will of the twins and live a life of freedom. Only here are we free to struggle against their merciless law and the love they force on us. Only here in this world can people like me be themselves. Nathan cuts himself short. His eyes are filled with sorrow and disappointment. Mark never told us to pray or perform rituals. He told us to do everything we could to forget the twins exist. We need to set ourselves free from their will, to be who we really are. And I believed him. I rejected the twins and I found my freedom. I became one of Mark's favourite disciples. Can't even imagine how many important people follow him. Even Patriarch Cassius. He follows Mark's teachings too. Does he now? You can't believe your ears. Patriarch Cassius, he's been helping witches and people of other faiths, and people like me. He gave us shelter to hide from your order's spies. He told us he was happy to help somebody, anybody, be free from the twins, so we can live our lives as we see fit. But there's just one problem. Most of us don't know what to do with our freedom. You know, Nicholas, I've drunk so much wine. I've eaten all the food no commoner is ever supposed to taste. I've made love to many women and men. I've felt all the pleasures I could find, but I've never found peace. I was just trying to drown out the cacophony of fear and desperation in my soul. He lets out a bitter chuckle and rolls up the sleeve of his shirt. There's a black circle around his forearm. Your brother has known a lesser death. I've been drunk for days when that happened. I don't even know what killed me. Can you imagine? But that death woke me up. When I appeared before the twins, I saw just how wrong I was. Mark, he took them away from me. The freedom he gave me was just nothing, an endless waste of life. I'm already doomed to suffer, but I'm still not happy here, in my worldly life. Nathan points at his chest. He used to wear a symbol of the twins there. Then I started drinking again. I tried to reject it, everything I felt. That's when I went to the statue of the twins, screamed insults, asked them questions. Why can't I just accept them? Why can't they just accept me? But of course, they didn't tell me anything. They never listen. They just speak their word. Then I got down on my knees and begged them for forgiveness, even though I know they'd never, ever forgive. Nathan looks at you again. Brother Mark's path wasn't mine after all, Niklaus, but there are people, some people who don't have a place in the world of the twins. Please, I'm begging you, have mercy on them. They're already doomed in the hereafter. Please let them live their mortal lives in peace. Sorry, Nathan, it's old faith or death. That's just the way it's got to be. Your eyes are fixed on your younger brother. This is it, the answer you've been waiting for all along. Have the twins finally heard your prayers? And what do they want you to do now? Oh, Nathan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Nathan. The law of the younger knows no mercy. Nathan and all who have turned away from faith will be caught, and they will be punished. Oh, Nathan, I'm sorry. But I need the Inquisition power, and I need the evidence. Oh, God. This is going to hurt my unity and reputation, but honestly, if I don't do this, I'm almost certainly going to end this chapter in true death. God, hopefully, at worst, Nathan suffers a lesser death. Hopefully, a quick lesser death is kind of the best we can hope for here. If he gets tortured, I'm going to feel real bad. You do not mince words with Nathan. He'll tell you the names of all Brother Mark's disciples, the places where they gather, and the misdeeds they've committed. Then he will face an Inquisition's tribunal and learn his fate. Nathan lowers his eyes. No, brother, I'll tell you nothing. Nathan, don't do this, Nathan. He will not speak, no matter how much you press him. When the sun rises, Inquisitor Ulrich and Sister Jen learn about the witness and the information he has. We've got no choice, Niklaus. The heretic won't talk. It's our duty to guide him to the right path. Inquisitor Ulrich walks towards Nathan. The door slams shut behind him. Jen touches your shoulder carefully. Niklaus, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how much it must hurt right now. But you did what you had to do. Now we can only hope that your brother won't lose the twins again. Jen's words interrupted by Nathan's screams. It takes Ulrich 3 days to break Nathan's spirit. You had no idea your little brother could be so strong. You spend those 3 days within the Inquisition walls. You cannot bear to go back home. When you see Nathan again, there are no bruises, no scratches, but his eyes are empty and blank. The apostate claims several Megran priests have sided with this blasphemous sect, but he only knows a handful of them. Most of them are commoners or low-ranking nobles, witches, mages, heretics, and weaklings who can't bear the brunt of the divine law. We can use this against Cassius at the Sacred Conclave to get them to find him guilty. It's time we put an end to his hypocritical sermons. I learned the time and place of Father Mark's next sermon. He's had a falling out with Cassius. Apparently the Patriarch is planning some act of sacrilege, but he found no support with his mentor. We need to learn everything we can about his plans. The place of this heretical sermon is the mansion of one Sir L. Gauthier, just outside the city. You'll need to go there and arrest the apostate, but we'll discuss the details later. After a pause, Ulrich continues. His voice sounds more insistent now. And as for the trial of Nathan Brante, his family may have been affected by these heresies. Bring them here. No, come on, no. You relay the news to your family. Mother nearly faints. Stefan, Gloria, and father are outraged. To the foot of the pillar with this. Even I never expected this dimwit to bring this kind of shame upon us. I should have choked him to death when we were boys. Quiet, this isn't his fault. We should have kept a closer eye on him. Niklaus, how could you let the Order's butchers get their hands on him? I needed the Inquisition power. Enough, both of you. Lydia, are you okay? Mother gets to her feet, leaning on Father's arms. When she speaks, there's a note of grim determination in her typically quiet voice. Gloria, do not insult your brother. Niklaus was only doing his duty to the twins. Stefan, I ask you to show restraint. Nathan has stumbled, his retribution awaits. But we are all his family, and we must be at his side. Mother has spoken. Together your family leaves for the Inquisition ward. They return hours later, having received guidance from your brethren. Nathan stands trial before the Sacred Tribunal the same day. The punishment will be harsh, but your brother will live. I did my best to reduce his suffering. He must perform the Walk of Shame through the main streets of Anizotte. He's a commoner. He will learn the Elder's love and the Younger's law through suffering. Oh god, the Walk of Shame doesn't... Is that like the Game of Thrones? Shame! Shame! At dawn the next day, you and your family stand at the end of the main street, waiting for Nathan. Jeanne is nearby. She will be the one to say when the punishment is over. Ulrich and Patriarch Cassius are there too, watching. Father Lennart is among the crowd of common folk. Citizens have lined up on both sides of the street. Two long, thin rows of people. It's every worshipper's sacred duty to participate in the punishment and help the wayward soul find the twins again. Men and women have brought rocks, broken pottery, and chunks of wood. Children peek out from behind their backs, ready with rotten vegetables and dirt. It is like the Game of Thrones Walk of Shame. Stefan does his best to remain apart from the rest of you. Gloria watches the crowd with horror. Father's eyes are averted, full of shame. Only Mother looks straight ahead at Nathan, unblinking. Two champions of faith push Nathan down the street with their spears, guiding him along his path. Your brother looks down at his feet. The first rock flies at him, then another. Nathan recoils with each blow, but keeps walking, his face shielded by his arms. Every step is harder than the last. Bruises, cuts, and clods of dirt cover his skin, his blood dripping onto the road. Nathan does his best to endure the punishment. His body, however, breaks before his spirit. Your brother collapses on the road a mere dozen steps away. The rocks keep flying. He cannot stand. Mother can bear it no longer. She rushes to your younger brother's side. You'll kill him! Enough! Stop this! She falls to her knees and shields Nathan with her body. The rocks hit her. She's in pain, but she'll not budge. Jen's firm voice echoes over the crowd. The punishment has ended. Enough! The crowd falls still. A few belated clods of dirt still fly into the streets, but the eager children's parents quickly shush them. Let them keep going. I say this apostate deserves a lesser death. You have no say in this, Patriarch. The punishment has ended. The Inquisition has spoken. The crowd slowly disperses, but Mother is oblivious to anything but her son. She strokes his face, wiping away all the blood and grime. It's over, my son. It's finally over, and we're going home now. All will be well. Eesh. Okay. I'm sorry, Nathan. I needed it real bad. You now have irrefutable evidence of Cassius's apostasy, the key to bringing the Patriarch down. And again, the cost was high. The Renegade. This could still be taken away from me at the last minute. I'm ready for it to happen. It's quite late at night. The cold air of the desert burns your skin. You're accompanied by Jeanne, Captain Agoronim, and the Champions of Faith. You're on your way to the El Gauthier estate. Father Mark will preach there tonight. Your plan is almost complete. There are only a few minor details left to discuss. My squad and I will be right nearby. We'll rush to your aid if you need us. Be careful. We don't know what to expect of these renegades. Try to arrest Father Mark, but do not take any unnecessary risks. Inquisitor, you are heading into the enemy's lair to act as my weapon. When the time comes, smite the heretics mercilessly with the power of the twins. You promptly don inconspicuous travel attire instead of your usual cassock. There are priests among Father Mark's followers, but it's best not to attract attention. You saddle up and ride towards the estate. The entrance is guarded by armed men. You give them the password and proceed to the courtyard. You see several dozen people in the house. The cavernous main hall is lit by flickering candle lights. You see many commoners and a few noblemen seated around the tables. You spot armed guards by the windows and doors. You take a seat in the corner, far from the large group of people. and await the beginning of the sermon. A short, stout man steps up onto a little pedestal. He's wearing the brown cassock of a clergyman, but without any symbols of the twins. Don't cheer him, he's a heretic. The audience greets him with cheers. He responds with a charming smile and raises a hand, calling for silence. Greetings to you all. I see some new faces among you. You came to this house because you find no refuge elsewhere. You came because you have questions no one is willing to answer. Why are the laws of this world so cruel? Why is your life, regardless of your estate, full of torment? Why are the ways of this world so unjust? And I answer, ye shall know the tree by the fruits. The twin gods created this world with their will. The twin gods bestowed their law upon us. The twin gods filled the world with their love, but their creation is unendurable. There is no mercy in it, no joy, no kindness. If the world the gods created is so cruel, the only conclusion is that we have very cruel gods. A disturbed murmur buzzes through the audience. What the twins do to us with their will, their law, and even their love is a violation. They take our lives away, subjecting our existence to their will. Our happiness and joy is of no consequence to them, nor are our desires and hopes. All they require is servitude and unquestioning obedience. After we die, the inevitable awaits. We will be dissolved in their boundless will, submitted to their absolute law, and drowned in their merciless love. Our will shall be no more. In the hereafter, there's no I, just they. We will cease to exist. So it makes no difference what we face after death, whether the peak of the pillar or the foot. It is all the same. Eternity, dissolution, and oblivion. But despair not, brothers and sisters. As long as we have our worldly life, we do exist. As long as we live, we can still discover ourselves and become what we want to be, not what they want us to be. So we must cast aside the twins and live our lives in this world without a second thought for our cruel gods. We are all doomed in the hereafter. Hence, we are free now. I call upon you to rebel. Without a spiritual rebellion, we will all become slaves to their will for the rest of our lives. We will miss our only chance to live beyond the bounds of their pitiless law, and our lives will be no different from the hereafter that awaits us. The listeners meet Mark's words with hushed awe. But be aware that the path of deliverance is hard. Freedom is a burden, and it can break the spirit of even the most stalwart and wise. You think of Nathan lying on the dungeon floor. Patriarch Cassius was our brother and followed our teachings. He protected those in need of salvation and freed those who could no longer bear the will of the gods. But Cassius embarked upon the path of rebellion in an attempt to become like unto a god himself. I taught Cassius to forsake the divine laws, but what he heard was, make your own law. I taught him to save those who suffer from the will of the twins, but he heard, subject the world to your own will. Patriarch Cassius wants to defy the twins and forcibly liberate people of their oppression. His intention is to spread my teachings, turning them into a new prison for this world. I tried to make Cassius see a reason, but a man who considers himself equal to the gods is deaf to the words of a mere mortal. I cannot stand against him, and I will not support him. This is the reason I am leaving Anizotte and Magra. Tonight, we meet for the last time. Mark steps down. He is instantly surrounded by people. It's time to decide what to do next. Can't make a deal with Mark, because I don't have the tolerance of faith. Lure Mark into the trap, because Nathan is not recruited. So, oh god. Capture Mark. Oh no! Oh no! I die! Oh no! Oh no! Curses. Why have I spunked through my lives so freely? I'll be back in a minute. I couldn't let this slip out of my hands, so I went back in time. I effectively started a brand new game, and I decided to not rescue my toy soldiers in the fire. I decided to not hit Grandfather when he threw my toys in the fire, which saved me one death, and I decided to let Sophia get trampled by horses, which also meant I had to hide alone at the end of that chapter. But that saved me 2 deaths, So everything else has been exactly the same. I made sure I did all of the same decisions, so nothing else story-wise has changed. It's just the Sophia stuff and not hitting grandfather. So now I have a spare death, so we can capture Mark. My dedication to this game is ridiculous. You have to arrest Mark and wait for Jen to arrive, no matter what. You step into the middle of the hall and make a loud pronouncement. In the name of the Inquisition, everyone in this house is under arrest. The building is surrounded by champions of faith. Resistance will only lead to unnecessary bloodshed. People spring to their feet, the guards are bewildered. You continue to shout orders, hoping that Jen will arrive in time. El Gauthier, the host, draws up a curtain to reveal a secret door in the floor. Mark and his entourage move forward to the hidden exit. You find a silver slab in your fingers, say a short prayer to the younger, and dash towards the heretic. Without wasting a second, you implore the younger. You raise your arms, allowing a miracle of the twins to be performed. The burning hot silver disappears. A white flash lights up the night. The preacher's body falls to the floor. El Gauthier gives the order to his men. Several guards run towards you. One flash after another flies from your fingertips. The men drop to the floor, bound by the power of the twins. The burning hot silver slab leaves marks on your palms. Where could Jen be? El Gauthier draws his sword and attacks you. You instinctively reach for a silver slab, but do not have time to say a prayer. El Gauthier's blade slashes through your face and chest. Your legs give way. You fall to the dirty floor, face down. Cold spreads throughout your body. Your vision is clouded by a bloody haze. A few moments later, a white flame flashes near you. El Gauthier falls down, bound by the power of the twins. Jen is here. Took your sweet time, woman. You draw your last breath. Then, all is dark. Because I'm dead. Second death. So, my first death was when I admonished the crowd that were trying to break into the temple. I still died then. I'm alive! You awaken in the family crypt. Your clothes are laid out near you. You can hear the voices of Mother and Jen. They're conversing politely and take a moment to notice your awakening. Niklaus, you're back. Get up. We've got work to do. We captured the heretic thanks to you. You know, before last night, I was sure that the greatest evil I'd ever faced was the false new faith. But compared to Mark's followers, the Photos' followers are righteous, God-fearing people. If Cassius has any connection to such a profane heresy, we must mobilise all our resources to stop him. We can deal with Lennart and the new believers later. Okay. So I still need to be careful about my deaths, because I don't want to have to restart the game. No, I won't. I feel like that was an okay decision to make to replay, because those decisions I changed, they won't actually impact anything further down the line with the story, so it's okay. The sentence. The morning is cold. At the entrance to the Inquisition ward, you see a furious crowd. Among them are both commoners and nobles. The townspeople demand the execution of the captured Father Mark, and their numbers are quickly growing. The champions of faith are guarding the doors from the mob. Jen's angry voice is heard from the stairs. Go away! The Inquisition will not allow mob rule. The investigation is still underway, and only the Inquisition will decide when it ends. The mob is outraged. You squeeze through the crowd. Jen gives you a nod. You enter the ward together. You ask, how is Mark's interrogation going? Ulrich still won't let anyone into Mark's cell. It's been 4 days. I don't know what he's doing in there. Meanwhile, Cassius gives one sermon after another, accusing the Inquisition of harbouring heretics. Jen suddenly stops. Ulrich comes up from the dungeons. The hemline of his cassock is splattered with blood. The senior Inquisitor greets you with a contented grin. The old man has finally told me everything I need. He turned out to be tougher than I expected, but everyone has a breaking point. So Cassius planned to desecrate the sacred conclave. He was going to address the gods with the words of heresy. Mark gave me the names of the priest who promised to take his side. Brante, you did much more than catching a dangerous heretic. With this evidence, we will bring down Cassius himself. Father Ulrich, have you seen the crowds that gather under our windows? Cassius has been accusing us of inaction for days. People came here to demand the execution of Mark. If we have all the evidence we need, isn't it time to burn the heretic at the stake? Cassius cannot tell me what to do. The heretic will die when I let him die, and that won't happen before we make sure he's told us the truth. We have to find everyone he's named. Let's start right now. I will visit the temples of the Silver District. Sister Jeanne, you are going to the slums. Brother Niklaus, you shall stay to guard Mark. Ugh. You walk down to the dungeons. A ray of sunshine from a tiny window casts some light over the figure of the prisoner. Mark looks drawn, his body mutilated. There are bloody bandages on his hands. He's restrained so he cannot take his own life. He is but a pale shadow of the once cheerful preacher. Only his eyes remain as alert and perceptive as before. He greets you with a gap-toothed grin, and speaks to you in a hoarse voice devoid of any rancour. Good morning, Inquisitor Niklaus. You know, I love winters in Magra. The snow-covered sands look so peculiar. In the morning, the horizon looks like a cake with frosting on it. It's too bad we can't see it from here. You know, your brother is a good boy, but his spirit is weak. I wanted to ask you, Niklaus, how did it happen? Where did I go wrong? Why did he betray us? You answer Mark's questions truthfully. You tell him that Nathan suffered a lesser death and was freed from the delusion of his false teachings. Mark responds with a sad smile. So that was it. Believe it or not, I have never suffered a lesser death, and it seems I will not have the chance to. Truth be told, I have always feared meeting the twins, and apparently I was right. We have no way to oppose them there. No one is stronger than the gods, so I can only forgive Nathan. I hope he finds enough strength to forgive himself. Tell him that I hold no grudge against him. You hear the distant clamour of many voices through the window of Mark's cell. Hurried footsteps echo on the stairs. Captain Agaranim enters the hallway. He's deeply distressed. Inquisitor, a huge procession led by Patriarch Cassius is approaching the wards. Apparently they want to pass judgment on Mark the Heretic. I commanded my men to defend the main gate. The smile on Mark's face fades away, replaced by sorrow or exasperation. The bruises make it hard to tell. Oh, another disciple who's betrayed me. But Cassius does not deserve my forgiveness. The floor is shaking, resonating with the footsteps of the crowd. You can hear the Patriarch's voice faintly through the window. Follow me, good people. If the Inquisition cannot rid us of this heretic, we will do it ourselves, for the glory of the twins and their law. The congregation echoes his speech. Not even a squad of champions of faith will be enough to keep the throng at bay. You need to act quickly. Okay, so release Mark from captivity, hand over Mark. Okay, I am going to have to release Mark from captivity. The only way to save Mark from true death is to offer him a lesser one. Because Inquisition power, I cannot afford to take a hit on Inquisition power, so this will negatively impact my feelings with Jeanne, but it'll only drop me down to a 4, which is fine. Nothing else seems to take much of a hit. What a good achievement. You command Captain Agoronim to join the Champions of Faith. You only need a few minutes. Then the champions can let the crowd in. Once you're left alone with Mark, you say in a low voice, people will burst in here in no time. Mark has only one chance to escape. You have the power to condemn Mark to a lesser death. Then, after rebirth, he will be free. Silence. Mark's lips tremble. He tries to swallow, but his throat is too dry. I'm afraid, Niklaus. What if I change? What if they break my will? There's no time to hesitate. Either Mark will escape through lesser death, or he'll be torn apart by Cassius's flock. Mark raises his eyes to the window. So be it, Inquisitor. It's better than burning at the stake. Is it? You shrug. This is the best you can do for him. You make sure the dungeon's halls are empty, then stand behind the preacher and take a belt in your hands. Mark closes his eyes. He is clearly trying to suppress his fear. How clever, Inquisitor Niklaus. Strangulation, then. 'Tis fast, isn't it? You announce your sentence. In the name of the younger, the heretic Mark shall suffer a lesser death for his crimes. You put the belt around his neck and pull it tight. You strain your entire body to hold the improvised garrote in place. A minute passes, then another. Finally, Mark goes limp. A moment later, his body dissolves, leaving only a pile of rags behind. When Cassius and his followers arrive at the Inquisition ward, you tell them they're too late. The sacred tribunal has already taken place. The Inquisition sentenced Mark to a lesser death for his heresy, and the sentence was carried out. Cassius and his followers examine the cells suspiciously, but they're forced to acknowledge that Mark is not here. Your sentence was too mild. That renegade should have suffered a true death in flames for his false teachings. Well, your weakness will be made known to everyone in Anizotte. I will see to that. Shen and Inquisitor Ulrich arrive at the Inquisition Ward by noon. After hearing your story, Ulrich shrugs indifferently. Shen, on the contrary, is furious. What? Mark is an apostate. His teachings are 100 times more dangerous than the new faith. He will continue to preach after his rebirth, you know? How could you let him go? Calm down, Sister Shen. A death can sometimes be more instructive than 1,000 sermons. Mark will meet the twins. No one returns unchanged from such an encounter. I think we've seen the last of him. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not a bad decision. You sentence the blasphemer to lesser death. When he returns from the hereafter, Father Mark will be free. Oh, Mama's deathbed. Oh, do I have enough unity? No! Ooh, but I can unite the family. Amazing! I've never been able to do this before. For the sake of Mother's recovery, you put an end to the quarrel that's tearing your family apart. You have to make Gloria a part of the Brante house, even if your name will forever be branded by dishonor. Oh, that's it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Let's unite the family once and for all. You refuse to accept this. Mother must not die. The Brante family must not fall apart. For years and years, you fought tooth and nail to keep this family united, working hard to resolve every quarrel. You never conspired against Stefan, and you never stabbed Gloria in the back. Now it's time to take family matters into your own hand. This family strife must end. You lean down to Mother's ear and whisper, "No, Mother's not failed anyone. She's always given her all to this family. She taught you well, and she took good care of you. She has nothing whatsoever to blame herself for. Your family is torn apart by quarrels, but you're still a family because of Mother. She has no right to abandon you in this dark hour." With a great effort, Mother lifts her head slightly. She looks over the faces of her family, huddled around her bed. Gloria, with her arms folded on her chest in an unspoken prayer. Nathan, pressing himself timidly against his sister. A faint, humble glimmer of hope appears in Mother's eyes. We are still a family. You stroke Mother's hair gently. Yes, we are. We're all Brontes. We're a family. And as long as we remember that we are one, we will weather any storm and overcome any strife. Times are changing, but the family must face these changes. But was it not Mother who taught us to face life with humility? Suddenly, there's a flurry of footsteps outside the door. To everyone's surprise, Stefan runs into Mother's bedroom, flustered. He's been gone for so long. Frightened, Gloria leaps from her seat and stands between him and Mother, but Stefan ignores her and walks straight to the bed. Lydia, how are you? I hurried back home as soon as I could. Your words and Stefan's sudden show of concern transform Mother, bringing her back to life before your very eyes. She sits up in bed. The colour returns to her pallid cheeks. Mother, you're not leaving us. Brother, your words are better than any medicine. Lydia. Klaus is right. I simply cannot abandon you like this. Twins only know what you'll get up to without me around. You look back at your flustered family and address them fervently, from the bottom of your heart. We nearly brought a terrible woe upon ourselves, you tell them. This is all the result of our strife, mistrust, and animosity. You stare first at Stefan, then at Gloria. They both remain silent, burning with shame. You say that this cannot continue. It's time for them to wise up and stop scheming against one another. I think I wouldn't love to live in a calm, peaceful home. I'm just defending myself against Stefan's attempts to drive me out. He's the one who's obsessed with our family's reputation. Agitated, Stefan interrupts her. All I'm trying to do is build a life for you. We can't legally accept you into our family just like that, don't you understand? The Bronte family has to be ennobled by the sword. There's nothing more important than that. But then Stefan glances at Mother, who returned from the brink a mere moment ago, and his voice trails off. You ask your brother sternly, has he considered the price our family must pay to be ennobled by the sword? Is Stefan ready to sacrifice the family just to have it ennobled? Brother, we're just a step away from fulfilling our grandfather's greatest mission. Now you want me to reject it? You reply to your brother calmly. It's time for us to decide what's most important, our family's standing or our happiness. Stefan grows quiet as he ponders your words, but Father suddenly interjects. And we will choose happiness, Stefan. I am the Brante Patriarch. I bear the responsibility for this family, and if the road to the sword will cost our family this much, then we must remain as we are. Stefan is silent. His throat twitches now and then, as though he's trying to swallow something. Gloria and Nathan watch him, both hopeful. Your elder brother stands up and starts pacing around the room. His face convulses. He's on the verge of tears. Father, Niklaus, I agree. I need to acknowledge that I have failed to fulfill Grandfather's mission. Well, so be it. Perhaps future generations of Brontes will be ennobled by the sword. But right now, our duty is to preserve this family. Gloria, for the sake of our entire family, you must become a Bronte once and for all. Gloria's mouth is agape. She can't believe her ears. You reach over and give her the smallest push. Ever so slightly, she walks towards Stefan and bows. Stefan, I never dreamed it. I'll never forget this. Father opens his arms wide for Gloria. Dishonour does not frighten me. Gossip does not frighten me. Come to me, my daughter. Gloria Bronte. Gloria falls on her adoptive father's shoulder, racked by silent tears. Father. You join the embrace. Gloria squeezes your hand in hers, your sister's eyes glimmering with joy and gratitude. She looks away to catch Stefan's gaze. He smiles at his sister with a mixture of grief and happiness. Your family stands together, embracing over your mother who is too happy to speak. Your family is united at last. Days pass and Mother's condition improves. The illness that once seemed so intractable slowly releases her from its clutches. And the enmity between Stefan and Gloria, the strife that's poisoned the family, is now gone. Nice! That was lovely. I'm very happy about that. Oh, achievement! Find a way to unite the Bronte family and end all the strife at home. Yay! I did a good thing! Gloria of House Bronte. I don't think I've had this before. Because I made Gloria a Bronte before, but it was very much at the behest of Stefan. So I don't know if this will be the same or not. The sitting room is brightly illuminated by dozens of candles. Today, the tapestry bearing the Bronte family crest, an oak branch wrapped in chains, hangs above the fireplace. The petitions have been granted and the paperwork is ready. Today, Gloria will join the Bronte family and become your father's lawful daughter. The entire family has gathered together, except for Stefan. Ever since you and Gloria got your way, your elder brother has spent less and less time at home, preferring to take prolonged trips or visit his noble friends. Hang on a minute. No. That's not how this has worked. That's how it worked before, because I conspired. But this time, it was Stefan's idea. Game? Gloria is standing by the fireplace, clothed in a modest black dress, quite unlike her usual trousers and men's jackets. Even her hair is braided today. For the sake of this momentous occasion, she's behaving as reservedly as she can, though she often glances at you with gratitude. Father steps forward solemnly and makes a speech as the family watches in profound silence. Come closer, Gloria, and become a branch of the Bronte family tree. Gloria kneels humbly before the man she's called Sir Robert all her life. He holds his hand in front of her face as the ceremony demands. From this day forth, you shall be a full member of this family, your fate now bound with ours. Wear your name and honour, and may the Bronte family prosper with you. Gloria leaves a filial kiss on the fingers of his outstretched hand. Now rise, Gloria Bronte. Slowly, gracefully, confidently, Gloria rises to her feet. For the first time since childhood, she looks and seems like your older sister. With a smile, Father at last embraces his adopted daughter as a parent. Gloria warmly responds to his embrace, then hurries to you. Niklaus, we're legally brother and sister now. I owe it all to you. I swear I'll never forget what you've done for me. I promise I'll be more careful from now on. I'll only do what's best for the family whose name I bear. You answer her without hesitation. Gloria has always been your family. All you did was make it official. Your sister squeezes your hand in excitement. This is her day, the day she's been waiting for all her life. Oh, That's awful. Okay. So when I did it before, there was like a whole section after that where Stefan comes in and basically cuts the family off. So they should have reworded the first part. They should have had 2 separate events. But still, that's good. I'm happy for Gloria. The Mark of Dishonor. I've had this before, the Mark of Dishonor. Basically, we are trash in the eyes of nobility. Oops. But it was worth it for our family's love. Hey, Thomas's wedding! So because I saved Thomas, he's gone off to a little village town, become a farmer, met a woman, and they've fallen madly in love, and he comes back and says, hey, Niklaus, thanks for not letting me die. Do you want to come to my wedding? Ah, amazing! So I can either bear witness, which is what I did before, which gets me willpower, which I don't really need at the moment, or I can perform the wedding ceremony myself, which gives me eloquence. Theology's maxed out anyway, but eloquence is cool. Stats is stats. Your hand comes to rest on Thomas's shoulder. You're a priest yourself, perfectly capable of conducting the wedding ceremony. It would be an honour. Will Thomas agree? Thomas glows with joy. I was afraid to ask Niklaus. Now my best friend's gonna marry me to the love of my life. How about that? I've got to go get ready. Several days later, you follow your childhood friends to a smallish temple nestled on the edge of the brass district. He's wearing a plain white shirt. Needless luxuries are forbidden at the austere wedding ritual. You're both welcomed by the bride, a blonde-haired young woman, innocence and hospitality written across her trusting face. The bride's parents stand further away, 2 aging villagers eyeing the streets of the big city with suspicion. Mia, meet Father Niklaus Brante. He's my best friend ever since we were lads. He's going to marry us before the twins. The bride greets you with a humble bow. The 3 of you step inside the temple. You close the doors behind you. Tradition demands no one else be allowed to attend the sacred wedding ritual. Thomas and Mia kneel before the altar. This is the first time you've performed a wedding ceremony, but you know the ritual well. You must summon the twins to oversee the sacred union of this couple, and so you call forth, O twins, elder and younger, behold these 2 as they kneel before you. They beseech you to join them in eternal wedlock. The candle flames dance and quiver. You hear a strange murmur in the temple. The darkness beneath the vault of the temple ceiling swirls into 2 colossal shades. The bride and groom raise their eyes to them, awestruck. Now you ask the bride and groom in turn to swear their loyalty to this divine union. I do. The bride echoes Thomas. You stand over the kneeling bride and groom and speak their names as the twins watch over you. Thomas Guerra and Mir of Sulmina. One of the colossal shades leans over them, looming like a towering sword, while the other bursts into a beacon of blinding light that illuminates the temple from within. Thomas and Mia look into each other's eyes in amazement. From this moment forth, they are bound to one another by divine law, and divine love fills their hearts. And with that, the ritual is complete. Thomas Guerrero and Mia of Sulmina are now man and wife in the eyes of the twins. The solemn ceremony has ended. It's time to celebrate. A humble but happy feast is to be held in the bride's village. As day gives way to night, you and Thomas leave the revel to enjoy a moment of quiet repose in the front porch. The familiar wastes of Margra stretch out before you in the darkness. Your old friend looks off in the distance, hopeful. Yeah, remember how we fought in that yard over our little brothers? So much has happened since then. Both of you laugh as you recall the beginning of your friendship. I'll treasure those memories forever, I will. And you could be sure that my firstborn son's name will be Niklaus. Thomas chuckles, pondering. You and I, we grew up on the same street. Look how differently we turned out. You have a say in other people's face, Brante. Your name will surely be remembered. But me? I'm still a humble nobody. And you know what? I'm alright with that. I used to be so sure that a man could never start over with a clean slate, but I guess I was wrong. I'll never forget you, Niklaus Brante, and I'll never forget everything you've done for me. A tear runs down your friend's cheek. For the last time, Thomas embraces you. Tomorrow, he will leave Anizotte forever. Will you ever meet him again? Nobody knows. Bap. Next. Cool. So we have Gloria is Brante and Thomas is a married man. Their repentance. So we come home after a day of inquisiting, and we hear a noise from Father's study. Father shouldn't be working. I thought he was in bed. But lo and behold, 'tis Nathan with Father's dagger. So he is saying that because he is so lost in life, he doesn't know what to do. So his plan is he is going to kill himself and meet the twins again, because obviously we know he's already met the twins, and he's going to just outright ask them why he's like this. So I know what happens if I don't stop Nathan, and it's a good thing, so I'm not going to stop Nathan. So he can go meet the twins, and he can come back rejuvenated because the Elder has told him that he is returning. And interesting things could be afoot for young Nathan Brante. The Denunciation. The Inquisition ward that has become your second home now feels jarringly different. Jen is sitting on a crude bench, all hunched over, her face in her hands. You stand by her side, still unable to believe that this is really happening. Look, these are our case files. Retribution is inevitable. We will face the tribunal tomorrow. Without lifting her eyes, she hands you a couple of pages. Witnessed with my own eyes as Inquisitor Nicholas Brante and his sister in faith Jen indulged in debauchery beneath the canopy of the sacred silver tree. Oh, I mean, I did say that having sex in public was potentially a bad idea. It's a denunciation. Someone saw you that night under the silver tree. Patriarch Cassius insisted on attending the hearing, and Ulrich will pass judgment. Her eyes are full of angry tears. You reach out to touch her shoulder reassuringly, but Jen moves away. She breathes deeply and pulls herself together. Answer him honestly. The younger will be watching over us. Lying is out of the question. Should you acknowledge your guilt, or is there a way to escape punishment? Okay, so my Inquisition power is currently on 8. I can afford to take the hit on 1, so I'm going to tell the truth. Because I love this woman, damn it. And yeah, we got freaky under the silver tree. And what? There are only a handful of people in the courtroom. They're all priests from various Anizotte churches. You stand before Patriarch Cassius and Inquisitor Ulrich. The Inquisitor's gaze is full of disappointments. The Patriarch, on the contrary, has a triumphant smile on his face. The image of the younger gazes at you sternly from the icon behind them. Let the tribunal begin. This shouldn't take long. Brother Niklaus and Sister Jen, you stand accused of engaging in a depraved carnal liaison with one another. Under the silver tree, no less. What sacrilege! The priests exchange whispers. You feel the blood pounding in your temples. It is so, Patriarch. Still, the denunciation might well be an attempt to tarnish our order and nothing more. A slander concocted by someone who harbours a grudge against the Inquisition. Brother Niklaus, beneath the gaze of the younger, tell us, your brethren and mentors in faith, what really happened. It's hard to keep calm. You imagine they're not there. Ulrich, Cassius, the other priests, not even Jen is there. You look into the face of the younger and start relating everything to him, the whole truth. As bitter as your shame is, you are indeed guilty, and penance must be done. Yes, you sinned. You yielded to the feelings that overcame you. You deeply regret the incidents, but it was the will of the twins that led you to it, and neither you nor Jen could resist it beneath the silver tree. It happened but once, it never happened again, and it could never happen again. The room is silent. Cassius watches you intently, then lowers his gaze, concealing a grin. Inquisitor Ulrich's nostrils flare angrily. What about you, Sister Jen? What do you have to say? Jen also speaks only to the image of the younger. She stands tall, very strained, her voice completely devoid of emotion. It happened just as Inquisitor Niklaus said. I have nothing to add to this statement. I assume we will have to accept our punishment for this misdeed. We have heard enough. Inquisitor Ulrich, what sentence would be sufficient for these sinners? Ulrich remains silent for a moment. In the name of the younger, I assign you the following penance. You will be imprisoned. You will each spend 3 months in solitary prayer. Your only companions will be the twins. The Patriarch nods approvingly. You leave the courtroom feeling exhausted. The sacred conclave is right around the corner. Do you think Patriarch Cassius could be the one behind this denunciation? Does it matter? The younger's retribution is inevitable. It makes no difference who carries out the punishment. I mean, that could have gone worse. I could have been executed. And I wasn't. So, you know, that's a win. A family matter. So this is the outcome of the petition to have us ennobled by the sword, which obviously, as our reputation is currently in the gutter, is not going to happen. But I'm hoping I can still keep the family together. Yes, preserve the family. Cool, so this is what I had before. There's no way in hell we're going to become ennobled by the sword, but we will remain as a family and stick together. Which is good. This is the happiest ending I could hope for with a reputation of 0. Oh, Grill doesn't like me. Oh no. And I get some willpower out of that as well, so not too bad. Not too bad. Heretic. Oh, Father Ulrich could have died by my hand. Interesting. You have not seen Jen for days. Neither of you have had the courage to speak to the other since the tribunal. She's often been absent from the Inquisition ward lately, which is alarming given that mere days remain before the Sacred Conclave. You go to a small chapel early in the morning. Inquisitor Ulrich is waiting for you there to discuss the upcoming trial of Patriarch Cassius. You barely have time to greet each other before you hear the heavy footsteps of armed men outside. The doors fling open, and Jen enters the chapel accompanied by champions of faith. She's holding a scroll bearing the seal of the Grand Inquisitor. Inquisitor Ulrich, in the name of the Twin Gods, you are hereby accused of aiding and abetting the Willist heresy. Like all Willists, you have corrupted our faith and attempted to liken yourself to the gods. You're to appear before the sacred tribunal at once. Follow me. You step back from the Inquisitor. Ulrich raises an eyebrow in disdain. How dare you command me? I abide by the will of the twins, and none other. Yield to Ulrich. The champions of faith draw their weapons and take a step forward. I mean, he is a Willist. He tried to indict me into becoming a Willist. It didn't work, because my faith in the old ways is too strong. Ulrich's voice fills the chapel. He does not yell, but the sound knocks everyone off balance. I am will. I am power. I know no obstacles, no restraints. Back away. His voice vibrates through your body. You're paralysed with pain. Your bones crack. Your muscles convulse. A red haze blurs your vision. Jen and the champions of faith fall to the floor. I am leaving Anizotte. Do not try to find me. Jesus. Ulrich's words echo endlessly in your head. In your last moments of consciousness, you see him dash out of the chapel. After a while, you come to your senses. The champions of faith gingerly help each other up, still dazed. Jen approaches you and offers you her hand. I'm sorry for keeping this a secret from you. I suspected from the beginning that something was wrong with Ulrich, but I only recently found out about the teachings of the Willists. And then it all made sense. I spent the last few days gathering evidence. The Willist heresy is among the most heinous teachings I've ever heard of. Once a person decides to submit exclusively to the will, forsaking love and law, he becomes a monster drunk on power. Few things are more dangerous than that. Captain Ogoronim, tell your men to stand down. There's no point in searching for Ulrich. He's already left Anizotte. We should focus on the Patriarch. Okay. Interesting. I mean, he was always a bit of a dick, but... The final step. 8 years have passed since your return to Anizotte. For 8 years you've served as an Inquisitor. For 8 years you've struggled, facing trial after trial. The young seminary student is no more. Only the you of today remains. All of your actions, all your decisions have led to this moment. There's no more time for investigations and interrogations. You've done all you could. Today, on the eve of the Sacred Conclave, will you be able to stop Cassius on his way to the Patriarchate? Or will you have to step aside and bear witness to his victory? I'm going to denounce Cassius. Success! Kind of. The Inquisition has become one of the major powers in the province in recent years. You have enough evidence to confront Cassius. Retribution is inevitable. Such is the law of the younger. You attach your Inquisitor's medallion to your belt and leave your monastic cell. Jen and Captain Ogoronim are waiting for you in the yard of the Inquisition Court. Squad, en garde. Jen smiles. She can't wait to take the floor. You ready? You nod. It's time to cleanse the sacred office of the Patriarch. The dawn becomes morning. The door of Cassius's home flies from its hinges. "What are you doing in my home? How dare you barge in like this?" "Patriarch Cassius, in the name of the Sacred Order of the Inquisition, you are under arrest, bitch." The Inquisition ward is surrounded by a motley crew. The most powerful people in the province are here today. The trial of Cassius is being held behind closed doors. Only Magran clergy are allowed inside. You're acting as the prosecution. By means of questioning, you are to expose Cassius before the entire province. With only a few minutes left before the hearing, Jen walks up to you. "I believe in you, Brother Nicolaus. May this day be a fitting conclusion to our years of hard work. The heretic must be duly punished." Cassius, surprisingly composed, sits in the middle of the courtroom. You walk around him in a slow circle, silencing the room with a gesture. You offer a prayer to the younger and swear to be just in your prosecution. Cassius smirks. "I'm afraid your oath is entirely in vain. The twins have no concept of justice." The audience murmurs in disapproval, but you raise your hand again and the noise dies down. Your voice rings throughout the courtroom, piercing the tense silence. The first steps towards unravelling the truth about the Patriarch was an anonymous denunciation, stating that Patriarch Cassius had been spreading discord among the clergy of Magra. He has led them astray, compelling them to reject the gods entirely. You ask the Patriarch if he denies this. Cassius speaks, his voice full of contempt. "No, I don't. I put the priests to the test with my words, one after another. I mourned those who were still strong in their faith in the twins' gods, but they will never know a better life. I welcomed and instructed those who could hear me. Believe me, brothers and sisters, there were many, and there will be many more." Angry shouts boom from the audience. "Heretic! We trusted you!" Disregarding their cries, you continue your questioning. You must remain calm. Over the course of the investigation, the Inquisition established that Patriarch Cassius harboured a pyromancer. What was the reason for this? Suddenly, the Patriarch sounds bitter. His voice loses the ring it had just a moment ago, becoming quiet and hoarse. "Because of the first lesson Father Mark taught me. Witches cannot live in the world created by the twins. There is no place for them, neither in this world nor in the hereafter. It was my duty to give them a chance to have a life, at least in this world, to give them a chance to find happiness." The angry roar of the crowd is growing louder. You purposefully refrain from quieting them. Everyone in the courtroom must be overwhelmed by contempt and hatred for the defendant. The people in the audience do not mince words. "Now you'll burn at the foot of the pillar just like them. Witch lover, you deserve the worst suffering imaginable." Cassius casts a disdainful glance at the audience. In spite of everything, he remains oddly dignified. You continue. "Patriarch Cassius has admitted to renouncing his faith and his service of the twins, but why did he maintain the image of a righteous old believer?" "Simple. I did it to support the schism within the church. The old faith, the new faith, they're both paths towards the cruel gods, paths that lead nowhere. Day after day, I pitted you against each other, and even though I stand before this tribunal today, you cannot deny that I have succeeded." Without waiting for the audience's reaction, you promptly ask another question. "Why does Cassius hate the gods so much? Why did he choose this path of heresy? After we die, we must face the prison of their absolute will. Only in this realm do we have a chance to oppose them, but instead, we continue living in that very prison of our own volition. Father Mark discovered the truth, but he was too hesitant. We must defy the gods, destroy the idols, burn the books that glorify them, obliterate their names from history, and build a new world." The adherents of the Markian heresy and the priests close to Cassius have stated that the Patriarch was planning to profane the day of the Sacred Conclave. What was it he was planning to do? "Oh, Inquisitor, I don't think you'd understand me. I was going to change the world. I was going to challenge them. The moment they appeared in the temple to greet the new Patriarch, they would have heard me. I would have liberated Magra, and then, just as in the days of yore, the flame of rebellion against their world would have spread throughout the Empire." Now, normally, I would agree that that is potentially a great thing, but this is Old Faith Nick speaking, and you, sir, are a filthy heretic. The priests of the Old Faith exchange remarks in an agitated manner. Those who've known Cassius their whole life have trouble accepting the harsh truth of his betrayal. You call them to silence and announce that you have no further questions. The Inquisition demands that Patriarch Cassius be burned at the stake until his true death. The Patriarch cackles, his hoarse laughter drowning out the shouts from the audience. I regret only one thing, not being able to set this land free of the twins. I regret that the truth that was revealed to me remains beyond the comprehension of others. I regret that I will not see their temples torn down. I regret that I will not hear the twins defamed by every living person. You have said enough. Stop this blasphemy. Silence. Captain Agorinim, take Cassius away. This tribunal is over. Cassius is led out the courtroom by the champions of faith, but the din of the crowd grows louder still. There can be no better proof that the next patriarch must be chosen by the parish. The clergy of the old faith have lost our trust. Drop it, abbots. That will never happen. Heated arguments continue. You observe them. Perturbed. Despite your victory, you cannot shake a sense of apprehension. Cassius's conviction has not ended the feud between the new faith and the old that has been escalating for 8 years. How long will the Inquisition remain neutral? And what will happen if you're forced to pick a side? Well, then the old faith will win. I didn't realise I was meant to be neutral. Yeah, old faith! So I'm going to need to get that to -5. Stinky new faith. Achievement! You convict Patriarch Cassius in a holy tribunal. Damn right I do. Okay, peacetime has ended.
At last, the day has come which would decide my fate, as well as that of my family, and perhaps the entire Empire. The day of the revolt.
So this will be interesting if this is still spread over a day. Because obviously I'm not leading a revolution this time. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. After the heresy preached by Cassius was denounced, the city plunged into chaos. Okay, so maybe I was responsible. You used the Inquisition to overthrow the Patriarch. Your victory over Cassius has strengthened the Order's position. But since the apostate Patriarch was burned at the stake, the divide between the old and new faiths has inevitably deepened. The old order has been shaken. Patriarch's throne in Margra is still vacant. Taking advantage of the general confusion, Abbot Lennart persists in his attempts to assume spiritual authority in the province. The old faith's time has passed. It must make way for the true teachings. The new Patriarch must be chosen by the parish. I, Lennart, am ready to assume this burden and lead you to the freedom from the lots. The entire Empire will eventually follow Margra on this path. Hordes of the new believers occupy the temples, squares, and streets. They're joined by disaffected citizens, conspirators, and heretics of all stripes. The Inquisition uses all of its resources to rein in the unrest, but it cannot pacify an entire city. You take command of a squadron of champions of faith and prepare for the coming revolts. So Sophia is still the leader of the revolts. Interesting. Cool, I have an achievement. So I'm siding with the Empire. You take the side of the defenders of the Imperial government. Which makes sense. Okay. So we might as well try and go for a peaceful victory. So I'm going to write this down. Okay, so revolt has to be 0, troops have to be greater or equal to 1, nobles greater or equal to 2, clergy 2, common folk 2, and power between -3 and -4. Okay. Right, destiny. So yeah, the one I'm going for is the surrender of the revolt. That's what I'm going for. So I know what I'm aiming for. Let's do this. Let's try and get ourselves a peaceful outcome in the name of the twins. Okay. So we need to decide the family's fate first. So what are they going to do? So agree with father and protect the home. Brontes will flee the city. I'm worried that if they stay in the city, they're going to die. But as they're all together, okay, we'll flee the city. Seems like the best option. I mean, we're going to get stopped at a barricade, but we will attempt to flee. Or they will attempt to flee. I don't want to flee. I want to stay. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. So as we're leaving, Nathan comes out of the house and wants chat. This is where important things happen for Nathan. So Nathan's just asking me just one more time about what what he should do, because he needs answers. And you tell him he should ask the Elder because he's spoken to the Elder before. So why doesn't he do it again? And then Nathan has a revelation and ends up becoming a prophet. Sweet little Nathan. Sweet little Nathan. So he doesn't leave with everyone else, he just wanders off in his prophetess ways. Now we're going to get stopped at the city gates. Well, neither of these seem very good. Attacking the guards is not an option. Well, looks like the family's staying in the city. All you can do now is obey the rebels and go back. Well, sorry family, we tried. They're probably all going to die now, aren't they? You breathe a sigh of helpless frustration. No, you tell father. There's no way you can bargain with those guards or force your way past them. You have no choice but to turn back. Father responds with a bitter chuckle. We bade farewell to our family home too soon. I knew it would be foolish to leave it behind. Very well. Turn around and head back. We'll have to return to my original plan. The carriage hurries to the almost abandoned family estate. Father rushes up the steps, unlocking the doors again. We will protect this house and steer clear of the rebellion for as long as possible. Check all the locks and reinforce the doors. You agree with Father. The Brontes should take shelter in the family home and try to stay safe. It would be unwise for them to take a side in the coming conflict. You, however, will return to the streets. This is a historic day. You cannot stay out of it. Soon you will join the struggle for the city's future. You have to get ready and muster all your strength. You say your hurried farewells to your family and leave them to their preparations for the coming storm. If they should find themselves in danger, you promise to come home and help them at once. But, in your heart of hearts, you're still uneasy. You finally walk out the door and head for the gates. This is where you belong now, on the streets, where history is about to be written. Well, that was a waste of time. Mustering the Forces. The crimson sun slowly rises above the horizon. You make your way through the city in chaos, carefully observing what's happening on the streets. The rebellion is flaring up again after a night of calm. Once again, the commoners are taken to the square in droves. The grim resolve in the rebels' eyes speaks volumes. They're determined to seize their freedom or die trying. There are others, however, who are huddling inside their homes, locking their doors and praying to survive the revolt unscathed. With every passing minute, you see more and more people carrying banners. They bear a hand clutching a lantern, the mark of the last straw. The conspirators have left the shadows at last. They hand out guns to the common folk, using the last precious minutes to quickly teach them how to fire them. The artisans are out on the streets too, cobbling together makeshift shields out of wood and nails to protect against the nobles and their blades. Fortunately for the rebels, the nobles remain divided. The old noble bloodline have sided with Dorius Otten. The Archnean has sworn to bring down the revolt by any means necessary. His noble militia now stands guard in the Silver District, where the city's most eminent aristocrats have their homes. They represent the greatest threat to the revolt. Many nobles of the mantle, however, are all too eager to violate their oath of fealty and side with the rebels. Though ennobled to serve the Empire, they no longer want to suffer under the boot of the highborn Archneans and the human gentry. But there are many more who are still undecided. Soldiers and low-ranking officers of the Legion from the city's garrison, officials and functionaries, they have all found themselves caught between the Overseer's orders and the People's Revolt. Many of them are biding their time, hoping the Legion and the Prefecture will spring into action and quell the unrest. But the Prefecture has yet to react. The city prefect, Sir Elborn, still has not made it clear which side he's on. Even the clergy has been swept up in the strife. Abbot Lennart is gathering new believers for a procession to the Silver Tree, where the people will elect a new Patriarch. Old believer priests and common folk who prefer to cling to the lots and save their souls stand in opposition. Even the Inquisition, whose duty it is to protect the Church of the Twin Gods against heresy, has been tainted by this schism. The true fight for the fate of Anizotte will begin in a matter of hours. You have had 8 years to curry influence among the people of this city. It's time to put your connections to the test. Who can you sway to your side? Who will be willing to sacrifice their lives and fight for your cause? Support the old believer priests, which gets my clergy to where it needs to be, which is good. The old faith in Margaret has been left reeling by Cassius's betrayal and the schism within the Inquisition. The true servants of the twins have been left without a patriarch on the day of their greatest ordeal. These few hours of quiet are your last chance to rescue your brothers and sisters in faith and earn their support. The rage of the new believers is terrifying. They've already begun rounding up priests of the old faith and handing them over to the people's courts. Mere hours ago, the rebels somehow obtained the sacred power to sentence people to true death. Did the twins really allow this to happen? You focus all your efforts on tracking down and rescuing the true servants of the twins. You find refuge in the temple at the end of the Brass District, the same one where you first felt the kiss of the sacred lash as a child. Its walls are strong. The panic-stricken clergy will be safe there. Beneath the vaulted ceiling of the temple, you feel their pain and trepidation. It seems as though all of Anizotte has turned its back on the twins' sacred will. Many of the priests insist that everyone should stay here and humbly watch as the gods decide the fate of the city without them. When you hear these words, you walk up to the altar and address the priests you've rescued. Have they forgotten that humility is not their lot? It's their sacred duty to guide the people, and today they must lead them away from the brink of ruin and save their souls from a tragic error. It falls upon the priests to rescue them from eternal glory and avert the wrath of the gods. Your speech inspires the priests gathered in the temple. They'll follow you to the end if it means restoring order and saving the faith. They're ready to preach on the streets and try to convince the people to lay down their arms, even if it means true death for some of them. Do you have what it takes to realise their hopes and guide them to victory? It's time to find out. The sound of gunfire fills the city streets once again. The lull has passed. The Order divided. It's noon. The wind drives the sand along the stone slabs. The Inquisition has gathered inside the yard of the ward, but they're uneasy. The schism within the church has split the Order as well. Some of the Inquisitors follow the old faith, while others are new believers. Their contentious quarrelling can be heard over the ward's tall fence. We need to stay in the ward and protect ourselves until the Overseer's army comes. But we can't abandon the people at a time like this. It is our duty to stay with the faith and preach on the streets. We need to show our support to the noble militia. They're the ones protecting the Order. The rebels are fighting for the legitimacy of the new faith. We're done being persecuted. It's the will of the twins that Lennart become Patriarch. We can't stop him. The ward's doors open. Jen briskly walks outside. Enough. It was I, brothers and sisters, who brought the Inquisition back to power in Anizotte, and you all know it. But now it pains me to see what we've become. I mean, way to take all the credit. I feel like it was a team effort, but whatever. I have never taught you to be so cruel. I used to believe that each and every Inquisitor knew their sacred lot, that you all saw the wrath of the gods looming ever so close, that you all knew what they could do to our world should we besmirch their design. But clearly, I was wrong. This city is full of heretics. The Inquisition has failed. The time for talk is over. There will be no more words, no more prayers, no more mercy. I'm taking control of the Order, and it will smite the heathens. Lennart will stop at nothing to become the new Patriarch, even if it means defiling our sacred ceremony. We will stand in the way of his procession. Not a single one of those rebels will reach the Silver Tree. But, Inquisitor, Lennart will have crowds of people on his side. The champions of faith won't be able to stop him. Then the Inquisitors will have to take up arms as well. The Inquisitors meet her words with stunned silence. Finally, someone speaks up hesitantly. But what about our lot? We can't wield weapons in battle. Do you realise what this will mean for our souls, Shen? Our lot. It is our lot to guide those who have strayed and save their souls, even if it means our own souls must be damned to the eternal torment at the foot of the pillar. The fate of our flock depends on what we do at this fateful hour. If we must defy our lot and sacrifice ourselves to avert the wrath of the gods, then so be it. Jen points an accusing finger at the Inquisitors who espouse the new faith. Captain Agoronim, seize the heretics. The champions of faith do as they're told. They force the wayward Inquisitors to their knees. The other priests watch in confusion. We shall begin by purging this heresy from our order. Then we will head to the Silver Tree. Lennart and his flock must not enter the temple, lest our world be doomed. You walk through the gates. Jen's furious eyes dart towards you. I'm conflicted here between seize control of the Order, so either Revolt goes down, which I really need to get Revolt down. Troops goes up, which it doesn't really matter either way because Troops is already where I need it to be. But Clergy goes down, which is unfortunate because I need that to be a 2. Or I can stop Gen, which gets my troops up, which again doesn't matter. Clergy goes up, which again doesn't matter. And willpower goes down. Actually, now I've spoken it, now I've said it out loud. Seize control of the orders, logical. It helps with the revolt, and that's the one I need the most help with. You take a step forward and raise an arm. The Inquisitors all look at you. I will sacrifice my earthly spirit for the sake of the old faith, damn it. It's true, you say. Everything Gen has said is true. There can be no doubt. Lennart is a heretic, no matter how many people he has on his side. The Inquisition must not let him usurp the Patriarchate and sully the sacred rites. If the Order falters now, the hordes of new believers will lead Anizotte to ruins. These people want nothing more than to annihilate the faith and destroy the divine design. Now, more than ever, the Inquisition must be resolute and ruthless. We must uproot any and all apostasy. And if we must take up arms in violation of our lot, we must not fear. The sword is the symbol of the Younger, and his just and merciless law. By his law, we, as priests, will doom our souls by wielding weapons, but the souls of our flock will be saved and the twins' divine design will remain inviolate. But were we to let the world burn in the flames of the wrath of the gods, that would truly be a betrayal of our lot. Your passionate speech erases the last of the doubts in the hearts of your fellow old believers. Execute the heretics, purge their taint from the Order. The kneeling Inquisitors bow their heads, knowing their lives are forfeits. But some are still screaming, "You can't deny the truth, the old faith is dying. You'll be the ones punished by the twins. You're interfering with the freedom they gave us." Silence. In the name of the Younger, I condemn you all to true death for betrayal of the Church and blasphemy against the twins. May you meet eternal torment at the foot of the shining pillar. Captain Agoronim, carry out the sentence. Swords slice through the air. Silence. Blood soaks into the sand. The Inquisitors fold their hands in prayer as they watch the bodies of their brothers and sisters collapse. The apostates are gone now. From this day forth, Inquisitor Brante and I will lead the Order. Inquisitors, draw your swords. The unthinkable has happened. The priests have bared their weapons. Not to conduct the sacred rites, but to do battle. They will follow your orders. Onwards, Inquisitors. We must hurry to the Silver Tree and block the path of Lennart's procession. They must not reach our holy site. Jen takes a moment to catch her breath. She turns to you. You got here just in time, Niklaus. I was afraid our brothers and sisters wouldn't have the courage to do their duty, but you were able to push them in the right direction. Glad to know I won't be all alone when I doom my soul to eternal torment. Suddenly, a flustered priest runs through the gates. Dorius Notton and his noble militia. They're going to the Prefecture to execute Sir Elborn for treason. There's still time. If you play your cards right, you could make new allies and eliminate enemies. You're right, we have to split up. Take your people to the Prefecture. I'll take the champions of fate to the Silver Tree. Lennart's procession is about to move. I'll hold off the heretics until you come to my aid, Niklaus. You and Jen proceed through the gates and out of the ward, followed by the army you've created. The commoners on the street freeze in terror at the sight of the priests of the old faith walking past them, swords in hand. Woo! 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 Okay, so Elborn died in my last playthrough, and I'm very cautious about what happened at the Temple of the Silver Tree. Dorius Otten has gone to the Prefecture to basically blame Elborn for allowing this revolt to happen and says that he's going to kill him. So again, I have conflict. Okay, well, on the bright side, all of the locked ones, because there was no way I was getting them anyway. They were all unique different paths to get there. So I can either overthrow Elborn, which ups the revolt, which really I don't want, and it ups nobles, which I do need. I need that to be at 2, but I really don't want revolt to be at 4, or stay out of it, which doesn't really do anything either way. If I can't get the ending I want to get, then we're going to end up in dark times, which is not good, because it basically means everyone loses. Or I'm going to die, and then it'll probably end in dark times anyway, so good. So I'm going to overthrow Elborn. Prefect and his gendarmes are enemies of the Empire, but there's no way you will let Otten be the one to bring him down. It's time to reveal your honour and strength and show everyone who's the true defender of the Empire. At Otten's command, the noble militia surges forward to crush the Prefecture's defences. Elborn retreats to the door and takes cover behind the thick, sturdy walls, escorted by several gendarmes. Cut down the traitors, no mercy. The cavalry turns to face the gendarmes with an onslaught of sharp steel. Bones crack beneath hooves, swords slice through the air. The stench of blood fills the square as fallen bodies dissipate into glimmering dust. While Otten and his army are engaged in the battle, you lead your men around the building. Unseen, you invade the Prefecture through the windows. Once inside, you barely encounter any resistance. The remaining gendarmes quickly drop their weapons or fall to your blades. You guide your men up the stairs to the Prefect's office. It only takes a single blow to smash the hinges. You too, Brante. I watched you grow. I considered you family. You don't even dignify Elborn's pleas with a response. Your warriors quickly bind him and drag him onto the balcony. From high above, you present the captive prefect to the mob. Elborn has been captured. The rebellious Prefecture has lost its leader. The time has come for all traitors scheming against the Empire to surrender. The commoners gathered below you scatter in terror. Their ever-present guardian has been taken by the enemy. The square is soon empty. Down below, the gendarmes falter against the force of the noble cavalry. They throw down their weapons and flee. The noble riders shower you with praise. Even Otten acknowledges your accomplishments through clenched teeth. I could have taken the traitor by myself, of course, but the deed is done. Bring him to me. The noble militia take the captured prefect from you. Time to die, Elborn. But I'm no butcher. You may be a traitor, but you're still known as a man of honour. You deserve a nobleman's justice. So draw your sword, Elborn. It's time for you to learn that the court of honour is the one true trial. Elborn meets Otten words with a bitter chuckle. The old man does not stand a chance against one of the most skilled swordsmen in Magra. Dying in a barbaric ritual I've fought against my whole life. I suppose there's no changing this world after all, is there? Otten and Elborn cross swords. Elborn has grown unaccustomed to holding a sword, and it shows. The prefect's stance leaves much to be desired. He waves the blade around clumsily, leaving himself open to an attack. With a single riposte, Otten guides his blade straight into the old man's heart. Just another arrogant human. All this trouble just because of him. As for the gendarmes, kill them. A lesser death suits them well. This rebellion will be dead and buried by the time they make their way back from the hereafter. Please, listen to us. The noble riders quickly cut the prisoners' entreaties and lives short. Their uniformed bodies fall on the stairs of the Prefecture, soon evaporating into a cloud of glittering mist. Thanks to you, the Prefecture is no more. Elborn and his gendarmes have been removed from the equation. They will not be there for the final clash. Otten gets back into his saddle and looks down at you. You're an arrogant upstart, Brante, but you've proven your allegiance well enough. With the tip of his sword, Otten points at the silver tree looming in the distance. Lennart's procession of new believers must have begun by now. They will defile the great temple of the silver tree and name that heretic the new Patriarch of Magra. I hope you realise the threat this represents. If you are indeed a loyal servant to the Empire, you know what to do. Head there and deal with it while I muster my forces to rout the rabble at the city gate. Once the last few gendarmes have been dealt with, Otten rides away with his cavalry, scattering the pathetic remnants of the rebellious mob. The fate of the feud between the two faiths will be decided by the clash of the silver tree. You have to be there. You ready your men, and head for the temple at the tree. Okay, so last playthrough, the twin gods had enough of everyone's shit and basically collapsed the temple, which killed Lennart and trapped Jill. Jen was, her status was buried alive, so this bodes well for me, doesn't it? Abbot Lennart is leading the new faith, a sea of people up to the gates of the temple so he can be anointed Patriarch. And obviously they're not armed, they're just people, but there's a lot of them. I'm thinking the best option is possibly going to be order the priests to attack. Because that, I mean, I'm still kind of screwed. Oh, I haven't been paying attention to power. Crap. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. So I can fend them off with the Champions of Faith, which knocks down the revolt by 1, ups my troops by 1, clergy by 1. I need clergy to be up, and common folk down by 1. Or I can order the priests to attack, which downs the revolt by 3, which is great. Increases nobles and clergy, which is good, but knocks common folk down by 1. So that means that I would only need to get the revolt down by 1 more and increase the common folk by 2. But then I am going to have to increase power back by 2, because that needs to be between -3 and -4 for 1 peaceful. So I'm going to go for this, and hopefully I can claw back something. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, though. This is all very kind of tenuous. Your ceremonial blade rises skyward. You stand by Zhen's side. No mercy for the new believer heretics. Inquisitors of Magra, attack. The Inquisitors behind the champions echo your battle cry and draw their swords. You must doom your souls to eternity at the foot of the pillar, then so be it. You will sacrifice yourselves readily to defend the true faith. A stunned scream echoes from the mob. The priests are taking up arms. It can't be. Follow Inquisitor Brante, brothers and sisters in faith. In the name of the younger, the heretics will be punished. The champions of faith get into formation and begin advancing on the new believers, weapons in hand. The unarmed mob recoils in fear, but those in the front row are pushed from behind and driven onto the blades. Blood splatters onto the stairs of the sacred temple. A woman's scream of rage rends the momentary silence. Murderers! Oh god. Chaos breaks loose. The champions of faith try to advance the people, but the enraged horde will not be driven back. They rush at the warriors, trying to break their ranks by sheer force, dragging or knocking them to the ground one by one. No, stop! Don't do this! Do not resort to bloodshed! The abbot does his best to rein in his flock, but they will not listen. You shout to your followers, now! The Inquisitors under your commands join the fight. Side by side with the champions of faith, you try to hold back the commoners. It's an arduous task. They're unarmed, but they greatly outnumber you. Hold the line. You fight on the front lines, knowing full well that every strike of your weapon is a betrayal of your priestly lot. The sword given to you for the sacrament now strikes the new believers down one by one, their blood drenching your cassock. A spear suddenly emerges from the horde, about to stab you. You can't dodge it. But Zhen stands in its way. The swing of her sword slices the attacker open. Oh, Zhen! Behind you, the Inquisitors raise thin silver slabs and shout incantations. Flurries of silver sparks spread across the front lines of the jostling mob, binding them with the power of the twins. They collapse, but others immediately take their place. Hold the line. Every minute of this fight feels like an eternity. Eventually, the furious onslaught seems to subside. You catch a glimpse of Zhen. She breaks the line and dashes forward with a fearsome cry. She's headed straight for Lennart. The abbot struggles to remain on his feet in the frenzied human storm raging around him. It takes him a moment to notice Zhen, her ceremonial blade raised aloft. Lennart meets her with a confused look. His arms move slowly, trying to shield his face, but it's too late. But at the last possible moment, the rage on Zhen's face gives way to terror. My child! A mighty gust of wind rushes over the square. It roars, howls, almost screams with wrath. The twins are here. You scream to Zhen over the din of the combat. There's room for doubt now. The twin gods are watching. It's time to mete out justice. The terror on Zhen's face disappears, replaced by furious determination. Her pain-filled roar merges with the howling of the winds. Die in the name of the younger Lennarts. The twins know you gave us no choice. The Inquisitor strikes. Her sword cleaves the old man's flesh. Lennart's white cassock turns crimson with blood. The abbot is gone forever. The wind grows, gaining in strength, becoming a furious, merciless vortex. It howls louder and louder as it sows fear and panic into the hearts of people, knocking them off their feet and dragging them ruthlessly across the ground. This is it. This is what Zhen warned us about. The wrath of the gods is upon us. The commoners try to flee the square, darting down back alleys, trampling one another. For you, there's nowhere to run. Only the trunk of the silver tree offers some protection. so you rush to the White Trunk as fast as you can. The calamity does not approach the roots of the Silver Tree, but away from the trunk, the divine fury comes crashing down upon the heretics. Oh my god, the gods are mad! The world is turned upside down like a kaleidoscope shaken by a massive hand. For several seconds, everything blends together. You fall flat on your back. A cloud of dust slowly settles upon the square. After the dust comes the leaves. Thousands and thousands of leaves shed by the Silver Tree. They cover the corpses of the truly dead like a pale, white shroud. The entire square glows as the bodies of those yet to be reborn dissolve into nothingness. There are so many that the light stings your eyes, even though the thick dust still hangs over it all. Just how many people met their deaths today? All the buildings around you lie in ruin. Only the Temple of the Silver Tree remains untouched. Your fellow Inquisitors stand silently, staring at the aftermath of the battle. Some cannot look away from the bloodstains on their weapons, while others examine the temple, unable to believe it's all over. You address them. Everything you did today, you did for a reason. You have protected the faith, and the twins have protected you in turn. Lennart the Heretic is no more. The new faith has been purged from Anizotte. The Inquisitors bless themselves with the sign of the twins. You do not see Jeanne among their ranks. Where is she? Okay, so I killed the new faith. That's good. That's kind of what I wanted out of this. A farewell to Jeanne. Oh, Jeanne! My Jeanne! Jeanne stumbles away from the square and heads towards the base of the Silver Tree. You follow her. You can guess where she's going. You carefully enter the familiar grotto formed by the gigantic roots. Jeanne's there, on her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her hands are on the bark of the tree as she prays. She doesn't notice you. Oh, share Jeanne's sorrow. It's true that you defied your priestly lot and took up arms, but you did it to defend the faith. And we did, and we won. You take a step forward, the leaves rustle. Jeanne turns around. Oh, it's you, Niklaus. I'm sorry, I just couldn't stay there any longer. She hurriedly wipes away the tears. Jeanne has been strong and stalwart for as long as you can remember, but now you can't look at her without pity. Her cassock is in tatters, her hair is matted, her face is red and puffy from crying. The silver pendant of the twins lies on the ground beside her, cast away. Of all the people you know, she is the most deserving of the twins' mercy and bliss in the hereafter. But despite your good intentions, you have transgressed against your lot. The twins know no mercy. You pick up the encircled cross and carefully hand it to Jeanne. She grimaces in despair when she sees it, but she still accepts the sacred symbol. I know I shouldn't show weakness. Our fight isn't over yet. We need to see it through to the very end. Jeanne is wrong. As an Inquisitor, our work here is done. She's already done more than anyone could have asked of her. Whether or not she'll continue down this path is for her to decide. Tears begin streaming down her cheeks again. You embrace her, stroking her hair softly. Jeanne buries her face in your chest. You hold her until she stops crying. Thank you for being here for me. And forgive me if you can. I can't go with you. All of this. I just can't. The encircled cross drops from her hand. Jeanne's shoulders begins to shake again. There's no sound. Only silent sobs. I forced them all into sin. I was wrong. There had to be another way. You wipe away her tears. If she was wrong, then you were wrong too. You had no choice. Jeanne nods. Then, suddenly, she grasps your hand. Then maybe we don't have to do anything else, Niklaus. We've done everything we can do already, both of us. We can just stay here. You sigh bitterly. No, you can't stay here. Softly you withdraw from her grasp. It's time to go. You've not reached the end of your path yet. Anizotte needs to be saved. This is your duty. But Jeanne's duty is done. She lowers her gaze. Very well. Have it your way, Niklaus. Go on then. And good luck. You have no need for luck. The twins are with you still. You leave the quiet grotto and return to the square. Will you ever see Jeanne again? Or was this your final meeting? A visibly anxious Captain Agoronim finds you in the square. Inquisitor Niklaus, I found you. Urgent report. The people of Anizotte are moving to the Empire Square. It's next to the Chancellery. Sophia, the leader of the revolt, wants to address the people at the building. You tell the captain to muster your forces. You have to be there. Understood. What about Inquisitor Jen? You look up at the shining pillar. Her service to the twins has come to an end. Oh, sweet Jen. Oh, good lord. Good lord. See what fun Sophia has in store for us. So, Sophia has taken to the main Empire Square to basically announce to the people that she's in charge and she's going to burn this whole thing to the ground. Which, before, I was like, yeah, do it, burn it. But now I'm like, no. The twins will not allow it, my child. Cool, so I can break up the mob, or I can do not get involved. Well, breaking up the mob is fully the way I'm going to do them. Fully the way I'm going to do them. That was good words. Okay, so that puts the revolt on 0. It puts the troops down to 1, which is okay. Puts the nobles up to 4. Well, I think 3 is the maximum. And puts the clergy up to maximum, which is good. So, yes. You order your men to break up the mob so the rebels cannot unify the people under their banner. Have that, Sophia. How'd you like those apples? If Sophia manages to unite the mob around her leadership, the revolt will consume the entire city. You can't let that happen. If there's ever a time to strike, it's now. Sophia's not shown up yet. You seize the moment and command all your forces to begin an all-out attack on the square. Your troops smash into the human sea in front of the Chancellery, hurling people aside and hacking through the throng as they advance. As you command them, you shout at the mob at the top of your lungs. Leave the streets, go home and you'll be spared. Whoever stays here will face our blades. This definitely feels more like a noble thing at this point. I mean, I've already tainted my soul, so what's a bit more murder? The rebellious rabble did not see this attack coming. Your forces are resilient, and the crowd panics. The rebels have no choice but to flee. Dozens of people fall to the ground in the mindless, jostling throng, only to be trampled by the fleeing horde. Blood runs down the cobblestones. The corpses of those killed dissipate in shimmering mist. Before long, your men control the blood-spattered square. They celebrate their victory with joyous cries, but a voice simmering with rage soon cuts through the air from the direction of the Chancellery stairs. The last straw. Ready, aim, fire. Damn it, woman! Rebel squads dash out of the Chancellery, firearms in hand. The volleys come in quick succession. A hail of bullets hit the square, sparing no one from either side. Commoners trying to escape die along with your soldiers. You're losing men. The last straw's position is too strong here. You can't advance on the Chancellery in the face of their gunfire. Out of options, you order a retreat. You breathe a sigh of relief once the last of your men have left the square. The deed is done. You lost too many men, and Sophia is still running amok. But you still manage to deal a resounding blow against the revolt and shatter the rebels' morale. The news that you dispersed the mob at Empire Square spreads through the city like wildfire. The nobility and the old faith clergy celebrate this victory, more eager than ever to keep fighting by your side. A report soon arrives from the scouts at the gates. The Legion is only a few hours away. The final battle is drawing near. Will the outcome of the revolt be decided in combat, or is there a peaceful solution? It all depends on the actions you take in the coming hours. Okay. God. Oh, I don't know how this is going to end. Not well, probably. The final hour. It's mere moments from midnight. The glow of the shining pillar is barely visible behind the crimson clouds coming in from the north. But the darkness hanging above the city is dissipated by countless lights. Crowds of people holding torches, stakes burning in the squares, houses in flames. The glow of the fires can be seen from beyond the city walls. The Legion marches down the road, inexorably approaching the gate of the city in the throes of rebellion. The final battle draws near. All the troops still loyal to the Overseer and the Empire are flocking to the ruins of Shah Melanidas's palace, where you have established your base. You used to play here as a child, but now it serves as a base of operations for the fight against the insurgents. Armoured nobles assemble into squadrons. Some hastily armed commoners who do not trust the rebels have agreed to follow them. The priests who have sided with you are preparing to appeal to the insurgents and exhort them to lay down their arms in the name of the twins. The insurgents have gained a foothold by the city gate, and preparations are in full swing at their camp as well. Their fate will be decided soon. Will they win their freedom, or endure brutal retribution for violating the sacred order of the Empire? There's almost no time left, just enough for one last attempt to tip the scales in your favour. Will you spend this final hour appealing to one of your allies for help, or would it be wiser to wait and muster your forces for the final battle? Do you plan to crush the revolt by force, persuade the insurgents to lay down their arms voluntarily? The fate of Anizotte is in your hands. Ah, crap. Okay, so obviously can't do that because Elborn's dead. Ask my family for help, because Robert Brante needs to be defender of the Empire. Good. Jen, I made her not righteous. Oh no. Ask Godson for reinforcements. Save my strength, I guess. Oh, bad ending, here we come. Or stalemate ending, I guess. This day has already turned out to be the most arduous of your entire life, and the hardest part is yet to come. You need to take advantage of this lull to clear your mind. Who knows? Perhaps your inner strength is what will decide the outcome of the coming clash. You leave the army's noisy preparations behind, sit on a half-crumbled chunk of wall, and watch the faint glow of the shining pillar in the dark sky. Your memories bring you back to a time when these ruins were just the site of your childish play. In your mind's eye, you see young faces of Thomas, Stefan, Gloria, but that's all in the past now. Midnight strikes. You can hear the menacing tread of the Legion outside the city walls. The time has come. You order your troops to assemble and prepare to head for the gates. Well, at least the rebellion's on 0. That's definitely good. God, how's this going to end? The Battle for Anizotte. The dark void beyond the walls of Anizotte is lit by hundreds of lights. Heavy boots tread the soil, armour clanks, halberds gleam, drums beat a lively march. Lit by the glow of the torches, the Magran Legion approaches the city walls. Gaius Tempest himself leads the Legion. It's the Overseer's duty to crush the revolt this very night, and pacify the city before news of the incident spreads throughout the Empire. If the Overseer's hesitation allows the revolt to last even a few days, it could jeopardise not only his position, but even the fate of the entire province that's been entrusted to him. An entire city rebelling against Imperial rule. Nothing like this has happened for generations. The people of Anizotte tremble in fear before the punishments that will befall them if the Legion wins. You've done your utmost to crush the revolt on the streets. The crowds in the squares have been dispersed. The riots and fires have stopped. The armed commoners clamouring for freedom as the sun sets have now scattered and locked themselves in their homes. But the main forces of the revolt have not been defeated yet. There are still many insurgents who are ready to fight to the true death for their cause. The soldiers of the last straw, reckless conspirators and dangerous fighters taught by Sophia to struggle against the old order until the bitter end. Zealous new believers who would rather face execution than betray their death. All nobles and former Legion soldiers who have joined the revolt in violation of their oath of loyalty to the Empire. They know there'll be no mercy for them, so they've nothing to lose. The remaining rebel forces have gathered at a fortified base by the city gates. The rebels have surrounded it with barricades, preparing to repel an attack from either side. The soldiers of the revolt, some armed with spears and axes, some with firearms, and some with simple rocks, hastily assemble atop the walls. The rest of the city no longer supports them. The revolt has not been crushed yet. The Legion gets into formation in front of the gate, ready to begin the assault as soon as their commander gives the order. The defenders atop the wall respond by raising their firearms. A herald from Gaius Tempest comes forward, stopping mere steps from the gate. He loudly proclaims the Overseer's demands. My subjects, lay down your arms this instant and open the gate. I know that you have been deceived by the insurgency. You have my word as an Arcanian ruler that I will spare anyone who aids the Legion and turns over the leaders of this revolt. Should you disobey this order from your lawful ruler, none of you will escape disgrace, execution, and eternal torment at the foot of the Shining Pillar. The Legion herald proudly lifts his head, awaiting the rebels' decision. You cast a quick glance at your allies. The time for preparations has ended. Everything depends on the size of your army and the balance in the city between the forces you have managed to win over and those you have antagonized. The next hour will determine your place in history. Oh man! Dark times and true death. Oh man! No, not like this. Not like this. This is happening. This is happening. I'm restarting, and there's a few decisions I need to make differently. I don't know if this is going to make any difference, but I need to try. If I get to the end and it doesn't, then so be it, but we'll see. Okay, so the family, you can just stay here, because you're gonna end up having to stay here anyway, so do that. Okay, so in the order divided, I'm going to stop Zhen this time. I'm not gonna, so we won't arm the priests. You hurry to Zhen's side. She motions for the champions of faith to put the execution on hold. Once she's very close, you speak to her so quietly that only she can hear. You know that Zhen's intentions are pure and righteous, but she can't let her rage consume her. Has she forgotten the teachings of Isatius? The very foundations of the faith? An Inquisitor must wield not a sword, but the word of the twins. This is the only way. You can save the people and their souls, all without violating your lot. If your faith falters and your hand reaches for the hilt of your sword, you will lead the church and your flock to ruin yourselves. There's still time to avert this. We must have faith. Zhen's simmering fury gives way to confusion and bewilderment. I thought violating our lot was the only way. Our adversaries are too strong for anything else. I steeled myself to sacrifice anything, even my very soul. But you're right, Niklaus. My faith was shaken. The Inquisitors and Champions of Faith are still there, waiting. Zhen turns to face them. I must confess my error. We are Inquisitors. We must follow our lot and keep our swords sheathed. We will bring our word to the rebels and admonish them to rejoin the Sacred Order. Zhen gestures towards the captive Inquisitors. Set our stray brethren free. They will find their reckoning in the hereafter. The Champions of Faith lower their blades eagerly. In spite of everything, they were reluctant to condemn the Inquisitors they've served for so many years to true death. The new believers rise to their feet, dumbfounded at having been spared. Some of them begin to weep with the realization. Zhen's followers also heave sighs of relief. They will no longer be forced to doom their souls to eternal perdition. You have their full support now. You look Zhen in the eye and see tears. I nearly made a terrible mistake, Niklaus. You saved me from doing something that I could not have undone. I wanted to save the faith, but I nearly committed heresy myself. But now my faith will be strong and true. Nothing will lead me astray today. But now is the time to move. We have the Champions of Faith on our side. Some of them will stay with me, and the rest will follow you. We're going to need more troops, and a lot more allies if we're going to put down the revolt. Suddenly, a flustered priest runs to the gate. Dorius Hudson and his noble militia, they're going to the Prefecture to execute Sir Elborn for treason. There's still time. If you play your cards right, you can make new allies and eliminate enemies. You're right, we have to split up. Take your people to the Prefecture. I'll take the Champions of Faith to the Silver Tree. Lenart's procession is about to move. I'll hold off the heretics until you come to my aid, Niklaus. Cool. Hopefully this is not going to backfire. So now I have saved Zhen's soul. I can stand with Zhen and drive the procession away, which doesn't knock the revolt down as much, but does increase other things. So hopefully this will be okay. It only takes a few steps to reach Zhen and stand by her side, blocking Lenart. And it only takes a single gesture to order your followers to join the Champions of Faith. The warriors of the Inquisition grow more confident. Now that their forces are united, you will be able to hold back this human flood. Zhen greets you with an imperceptible nod. Your support has visibly reinvigorated her. Thousands of eyes focus on you. Inquisitor Niklaus, do you also think that the will of all these people is not enough to make us heard by the twins? You respond to Lenart's question with laughter. Oh, you have an answer for that. But your answer is not for Lenart, it's for the people who's followed him here. You begin to speak louder, and the people listen. What Abbot Lenart seeks is not a new path to the twin gods. It is only power for himself. He calls himself a priest, yet he yearns to lord it over his flock like a nobleman. The people of Anizotte chose to follow Lenart's path because they hoped the twins would be waiting at the end, but his path only leads to eternal torment at the foot of the shining pillar. But the blame is not theirs. A heretic led them astray by blaming the lots for all their woes. Yet the root of the evil lies elsewhere. Humans and Archnians have forgotten the true faith, distorted the true faith. That is the root of all evil, and we all know who bears the blame for that. For years, the heretical Cassius has been corrupting the land of Magra, distorting the faith he was duty-bound to preserve in the eyes of the twin gods. He led the people astray and sowed the seeds of great strife. He was biding his time until he could face the twins again and reject them in the name of all Magra, and he almost succeeded in his vile endeavour. But you and Sister Jen unmasked the false Patriarch, and now, on the day of the Sacred Conclave, priests of Magra have one last chance to tell the twins that Magra's faith is still strong, that the people who live here deserve to find bliss atop the peak of the Shining Pillar. Today is a day when Anizotte has been gripped by confusion and strife. Left unattended, fear and hatred can drive a soul down the path of self-destruction, and if fear and hatred can extinguish a single soul, imagine what they could do to an entire city. Can the people not see that the twins are watching them, preparing to render their judgment? The people are one step away from betraying the twins, but they may yet awaken from this madness and be saved. The Empire can still flourish, but not through destruction and hatred. Only when the noble lot and the lowly lot return to the one true faith together and purge all heresy from this land can the Empire flourish once again. Here and now, beneath the silver tree, we all see the priestly lots has never abandoned the people. The gods are here with us now. Your voice booms across the square like a thunderclap. The door of the sacred temple swings open behind you. A mighty gust of wind blasts forth, searing people's faces with cold. The startled procession recoils, shouting in excitement. The twins! They're here! It's a sign from the gods! The gods are here with us at this fateful hour. They have heard your voice, Brother Niklaus. One by one, the people around you make the sign of the twins, bowing and genuflecting in a paroxysm of piety. Some begin to weep, and the gust of wind echoes their sobs of repentance. Lennart turns to his flock, white as a sheet, but none will meet his gaze. All eyes are on you. My children, you cannot abandon everything we fought for so easily. The wind howls, drowning out his voice and carrying Zhen's exalted cry across the square. The gods are here, and they have given us a sign. Brother Niklaus, he is the one they wish to see as a new Patriarch. Brothers and sisters in faith, our new Patriarch stands before you on the stairs of the temple. Come forth and greet him. You watch them emerge from the temple one by one. Priests, abbots of Magran temples, monks, acolytes, preachers, men, women. Feels like a strange dream. They all come out to greet you, acknowledging you as their true Patriarch. The mob below buzzes its approval. The twins have willed it so. There can be no doubt. Oh, almighty gods, the younger, the unyielding judge, the elder, keeper of truth and love. With all our strength, we will preserve our true faith. We will follow our lots and punish all heresy without mercy. Under their eye, and by your will, may Brother Niklaus become our new Patriarch. Zhen cannot hold back a smile as she says this. With an expression of almost childlike glee, she reaches up to the heavens. A blast of freezing wind blows in your face. The twins' will and love and law reveal themselves to you, filling you completely. Every sensation is utterly acute now. All that remains is their sight. The elder watches with love and joy. All living things are his children. As their Patriarch, he expects you to treat them with wisdom and kindness. The younger watches sternly. He expects you to show no mercy to the enemies of the faith and commit no errors. You're filled with love for them. You will do whatever it takes to fulfill their will with wisdom and righteousness. Before the faces of the gods, I accept the great burden of the Patriarchate of Magra. May their will and love and law be my guide. Could you have ever guessed you would be standing here this day? The vision passes. You open your eyes. The leaves of the silver tree rustle above you. A smile plays across Shen's face. You're surrounded by kneeling people as far as the eye can see. Shen gestures to the champions of faith. Two of them reach out for Lennart and bind his hands. Dejected, broken, he doesn't resist. No one even bothers to try and defend him. You are the Patriarch of Magra. Well, this was worth doing. Okay, so I think everything's looking better. It might still fall apart. It probably will still fall apart. But if it does, then I know I tried. Why is this a farewell to Zhen? Because we haven't murdered anyone. She hasn't broken... Oh, okay, congratulations. That's fine. I was going to say, she's not done anything wrong. You take a step forward. The leaves rustle. Jen turns around. Oh, it's you, Nicholas. I'm sorry, I just needed some time to think this all through. She hurriedly wipes away the tears and hides her matted hair beneath her kerchief. Why is she crying? Lennart has been taken into custody. The new faith will never recover from this blow. Jen looks aside, flustered. These are tears of joy. We did it. We actually won. You know, when I saw that crowd, all those people, I lost faith. I thought we were all doomed. I thought we were all going to die on the stairs of the temple, Niklaus. I was so frightened. But your faith was strong, and the twins themselves were there to help you, but I was too weak. You sit down next to Jen and wipe away the last of her tears. You tell her that she's wrong. You could never have done this without her. Jen's ardent faith and unyielding commitment to the twins are second to none. But no one can be strong all the time. Not even the twins. There are two of them, and one would not exist without the other. You were there to rescue her, and she would have done the same for you. She has nothing to blame herself for. You won together. Jen touches your hand shyly. Thank you. It's a miracle. You're the Patriarch now. What a weight off my shoulders. After so many years, finally someone I can trust is in charge of the Church of Margaret. Thank the twins. She laughs. There's no trace of her usual stern demeanour. You gaze at her smile with great pleasure. It's so peaceful here. So calm. I know there's a lot we have to do, but could we stay here like this, just a little longer? You nod. The two of you sit there together, hands clasped, sharing a moment of silence. It's so calm here beneath the silver tree. You doubt even the din of battle could disturb this tranquility. What a shame you can't stay here and watch the sunset. Reluctantly, you finally let go of Jen's hand. There'll be time for that later. Right now, you need to go. The battle for the soul of Anizotte is not yet finished. Alright, let's go. A visibly anxious Captain Agoronim finds you in the square. Patriarch Niklaus, Inquisitor Jen, I've found you. I've got an urgent report. The people of Anizotte are moving to Empire Square. Sophia, the leader of the revolt, wants to address the people in front of the Chancellery. You tell the captain to muster your forces. You have to be there. He nods and walks back to his men. Jen's face grows stern. Looks like we're parting ways again. You won't need me where you're going, but I'm confident you'll do fine on your own, Patriarch. It feels so odd to be addressed like this. And what about Jen? Where will she go? I'll do what my priestly lot demands. The people are in dire need of guidance. Maybe I can still convince some of them to join our side as you ready the soldiers for battle. So be it. You hope this is not your last meeting? I hope so too, Nicholas. She squeezes your hand and walks away. You look up at the shining pillar. It's time to go. Hopefully not to my demise. Cool, so I can still break up the mob. This is good. So we'll do exactly as we did before. Goody, goody, goody. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Hearth and Home. This is new because I had the Revolt at 0 last time. Oh no. Oh no. While you're busy preparing, night falls over Anizotte. The darkness brings disorder, lawlessness, and chaos. In the dark, madmen, robbers, and looters flood the city. These gangs have no interest in the fate of the Empire or the Revolt. They see the uprising as a sign that the end of the world is nigh. And if the wrath of the gods is at hand, then everything is permitted. Upon hearing reports of gangs roaming the streets, you sense danger. What is it to stop them from attacking your home? Your people may need you, but you will never abandon your family. Taking a squad of loyal men with you, you hurry to your home district. Your instinct proves to be correct. Even before reaching your street, you smell smoke. Sir Tibor's school is ablaze. The old man was hurled out of the third-story window and impaled on the sharp spikes of the gate below. Ashes from dozens of burning books blanket the ground like black snow. Thomas's old house lies in ruins. Breathless, you run up the street. Your men can barely keep up with you. You hope you're not too late. You round the last turn. There it is, the gate to your ancestral home. You see dozens of figures approaching by the light of the burning houses. The thugs are close, too close. You run through the gate and into the house. Your men stay to guard the outside. You hastily open the door. Your father's on the doorstep, sword in hand. He recognises you and lets out a sigh of relief. Oh, it's you, Niklaus. I'm so glad you're here. The bastards have burned down half the district and they're on their way here. He's cut short. The living room window is shattered. A torch lands on the floor. You quickly stamp out the flames. The battle's in full swing in the front yard. A massive crowd is furiously attacking your soldiers without any regard for their own safety. The looters are led by a rugged, half-naked old man clad in rags. Horrible scars on his wrists and ankles reveal his past as a convict. He yells frantically in your direction, his shrieks cutting through the din of the fray. The world's coming to an end. We've disobeyed the twins and they're punishing us. There ain't no punishment worse than this, so there ain't nothing to fear. These are our last hours. Do whatever you want. The crowd bellows in support of the old man. The soldiers fall one after another beneath the onslaught of the rabid gang. The twins have damned us all. We've been damned for your sins, you filthy nobles, you false priests. But before we face our final judgment, we'll dole out a little punishment of our own. We'll take our revenge on you before we die. Our judgment cometh. The horde crushes your squad's resistance and approaches the house. The stomping of their feet shakes the windows. Your father looks at you in despair. They want to execute us. What do we do, son? Die for your home. True death, then everyone dies. Or flee alone. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Well, I'm the Patriarch now, goodbye. Margaret needs me! You stare at the approaching crowd, terrified. There's nothing you can do to stop them. You're doomed. Nicholas, say something. You have to flee. There's no other way. You can't escape together. You'll each have to find your own way out. Hold on, son. This is our home. Another torch is thrown through the window. More and more. Your ancestral home is ablaze. You cast a farewell glance at father, then turn around and run. You dash to the backyard. Several thugs await you there. Desperation lends you strength. You run past your foes, leap over the fence in a single bound, and land in the darkness of a back alley. You hear the din of battle and the roar of the flames raging behind you, but you don't look back. Run, Brante. Don't stop. Only once you round the corner do you dare to look over your shoulder. The verdict of the frenzied horde echoes from the house. The end of the world is nigh, and no one can stop us anymore. Not the nobles, not the priests, not even the twins themselves. In our final hours, we're taking power into our hands. Feel the wrath. Brante family, we hereby sentence you to true death by fire. The old man's supporters hurl torches through the windows. The flames engulf the building in a matter of seconds. You can barely see through the smoke. Our verdict has been carried out. We've punished the nobles. Well, off we go. Our campaign has just begun. One by one, the distant screams of your loved ones fall silent. The tree in the front yard that once protected you and Nathan from the midday heat is now a massive torch. The attic where Gloria used to hide to secretly write her poetry crumbles in a torrent of sparks. The dining room where Stefan used to entertain high-ranking guests is consumed by the blaze. The bedroom where you saw your parents' faces for the first time is in flames. Finally, the house crumbles with a deafening crash. You could not have saved them. The Brante family is no more. But your path has not come to an end. You have saved your own life, and now you will do all you can to make sure their sacrifices were not in vain. Turn and gaze at the lurid glow of the fire one last time, then step into the darkness. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. Achievement! Achievement! Yay! But the Empire needs me. I'm the Patriarch now, so, you know, I have to put what the Empire needs above my own needs, obviously. Oh, Christ. Oh, Christ. I asked my family for... Oh, wait. Okay, I'm going to ask them for help. Now I can do that. So that's going to knock the revolt down to 0, which is good. Would have liked that to have happened sooner, so my family didn't have to perish in the fire that I left them to die in, but still. In order to crush the revolt, you'll have to win over more commoners. At this point, the word of the twins is the only thing still capable of influencing those with lingering doubts. You take a small squad and immediately set out to find Jen. While passing through the smoky, soot-covered brass district, you find Jen surrounded by a large crowd. They're listening to her sermon. Her voice is filled with righteous might. as though the prophet Isatius himself was speaking. I understand the reason for your rage, people. The church has been poisoned by heresy for many years. It has allowed the nobles to drive you into untold depths of despair, offering nothing by way of consolation or guidance. But now, at long last, salvation has come. Cassius the Heretic has been cast down. The church will pursue its sacred mission once more, saving your souls so you can ascend to the peak of the Shining Pillar. You join Jen and extend both arms towards the crowd. Cassius's heresy has brought unrest and delusion to the province, but that heresy has been defeated. The path towards order, justice, and eternal bliss in the hereafter is now open to the people of Anizotte once more. But in order to return to that path, true believers must fight the revolts and defeat those who spit on the twins' grand design. If they do, the Church of the Twin Gods will tend to their souls. The commoners reverently fold their hands in prayer and kneel before the righteous Arda. After receiving this admonition from you, the crowd of believers goes around the district, urging their neighbours to lay down their arms and refrain from defying the old faith. Midnight strikes. You can hear the menacing tread of the Legion outside the city walls. The time has come. You order your troops to assemble and prepare to head for the gates. Okay, moment of truth. Has this worked? Has my family's sacrifice been worth it? Yes, it has. Okay. Crush the rebel forces. So, that gets me true death. I don't want to true die. I want to true live. Okay. Let's crush the rebel forces. You order your troops to open the gate from inside and assist the Legion. It's not a good ending because I'm really a bad guy in this, but still. I get to live, so shut up. Shots ring out from the walls and Gaius Tempest's herald falls from his horse. The rebels have responded to the Overseer's demands. Anizotte will never submit to the Empire. Trumpets blare. The Legion is about to attack. Legion, charge! Take the city. But the rebels' defences are too secure. Not even the Legion can take the city in a single assault. The offensive will be repelled without fail. Anizotte is in for a lengthy siege. The revolt will continue to fester within its walls until the city rots from the inside. Disturbances will break out all over the province and spread to the rest of the Empire. You cannot let that happen. It's now or never. The time has come for you to strike at the rebels from within the city. You have an entire army of Imperial loyalists behind you. You have assembled a massive force over the course of this single day. All your warriors are ready to do their duty to the city, the Overseer, and the Empire. The people of Anizotte will support you as well. Most of the nobles and clergymen are on your side. Your troops' morale is high. You lead your army against the enemy. Attack! Down with the revolt! Death to the insurgents! Hundreds of loyal warriors cry out as one. We're with you, Brante! Death to the insurgents! As you lead your troops through the empty streets, you contemplate your plan of attack. The walls of the city, built back in the days of Shah Malanadas, are still strong. The insurgents have gained a foothold by the gates. Under the cover of gunfire, they'll be able to thwart the Legion's offensive for quite some time. Your only chance to emerge victorious this night is to make your way to the gate, open it, and let the Legion in. Your watchmen report that Sophia has split the rebel forces in two. One squad will repel the Legion's attack from the wall above the gate, the other will guard the gate from the rear. Your army reaches the square by the city gates. The rebel camp is encircled by a row of barricades. Behind them are rows of muskets and spears, all aimed at you. A battle is already raging at the walls. The Legion soldiers climb siege ladders beneath a hail of bullets, rocks, and arrows. Once they finally clamber to the top, they're met by the blades of bloodthirsty insurgents. The rebels fend off one wave after another in a desperate melee. All over the walls, the bodies of the slain Imperial soldiers shimmer into oblivion as they fall. More and more shots are fired. The wall above the gate is illuminated by the yellow glow of witchcraft. Sophia's sorcery stupefies the Imperial soldiers, making them easy targets. The Legion's offensive is steadily being repelled. You must attack and fight your way to the gate. You order your infantry to assault the insurgent camp. The Inquisitors and their prayers will assist you. If you draw the enemy fire, the noble cavalry will be able to break through the barricades from the other side. Like a guiding star, the shining pillar gleams through the dark, heavy clouds. Your soldiers offer their last prayers to the twins. You grip the Imperial banner firmly and order your men to attack. Damn it, it's the enemy. They're attacking from the rear. Hold the line. Reinforcements rush to the barricades. Your unit is approaching the rebel camp. The barrels of at least 100 muskets are pointed straight at you. A volley of gunfire rings out. Entire rows of soldiers fall. Your forces are barely able to stay in formation. But you've led these men here, and you will lead them until the very end. You raise your banner high above your head. The twins are watching. Death to the rebels. Your soldiers echo your cry and adamantly preserve in their onslaught under heavy fire. The Inquisitors aid them. Silver slabs gleam in their hands. Touched by divine grace, wounded soldiers return to their positions. Defend the camp. Hold the gate, whatever the cost. You attack. The rebels prepare to fire again. Then suddenly, the noble cavalry emerges from the shadows and slams into the enemy's right flank. The squadron cuts through the enemy barricades and bursts into the camp. The gunmen are overwhelmed by the assault. You order your men to charge. Your regiment occupies the main barricade. The insurgents' defences have been broken. The soldiers of the Legion are on the verge of despair, but when they see your success from the walls, they attack with renewed vigour. Victory is at hand. Alright. You hear a furious shriek. You're blinded by a golden light. The flash seems to rupture your skull from the inside. A strange voice commands, "Come." You're no longer in control of your own body. The banner falls from your grasp. Unable to resist, you heed the call. It leads you towards the gates. The battle is raging around you. Amidst the scurrying shadows and gunpowder smoke, you discern a familiar glow of golden eyes. Sophia. She's holding a gun. I hate you. At the last possible moment, you muster all the willpower you possess and break free of the spell. A gunshot, but you are already dashing towards the rebel leader. The bullet whizzes past you. You snatch the gun from Sophia's hands. Her sepia eyes pierce you with a burning gaze, but your will cannot be broken a second time. Your soldiers come to aid. They bind the rebel leader hand and foot. Now restrained, the criminal glares at you from behind a mass of tangled hair, her face contorted in hatred. Don't get your hopes up, Brante. The fire I started will rage again soon enough. You and this whole monstrous world are gonna burn. Bitter tears run down Sophia's cheeks. For a split second, you see the frightened girl from next door, pursued by terrifying horsemen. You look away. The Imperial authorities and Overseer Gaius Tempest will decide this criminal's fate now. The resistance has been crushed. The Legionnaires reach the top of the wall and begin taking out the most reckless last straw fighters. The rest of the insurgents flee their ransacked camp, trying to escape down back alleys. Your army shouts in unison, "Victory! Nicolaus Bronte! Glory! Glory!" With a triumphant air, you give the order to open the gates. It swings open, creaking heavily. On the other side, you see the fluttering banners of the approaching Legion forces. A shining pillar gleams in the heavens. Your duty is done. You stand before the troops and await the Overseer in the square. Tonight, you have saved your city, extinguishing the flames of rebellion that threatened to spread across the entire Empire. You look back at the years gone by, all the difficult decisions you had to make, all the actions that helped you take your place in the history of the Empire. Your destiny has been fulfilled. Achievement! Okay, that was an arduous journey to get there, but we got there.
The revolt was crushed. And it was I who restored order in Anizotte.
Me.
Mine was a victory for all of the Empire.
You are welcome, Empire. So I've met the old man on the street, and he's asked me if I were in the twins' place, what would I do? What would I change about the world? And in my old priestly way, I'm going to say they should leave the world alone. The twins did create the world, but now they ought to leave their creation in peace. No. Yeah. It's the most priestly thing, I guess. I'm in charge now. They've entrusted me. So, they can leave us to it. Outcome of the revolt. With your assistance, the Imperial Loyalists crushed the rebellion in a single night. After swiftly quelling the unrest in Anizotte, Overseer Gaius Tempest restored order within the city's walls with an iron fist. The insurgents refused to submit to the Legion and paid in blood for their defiance. All the leaders of the revolt met their final death at the end of a noose. Many rank-and-file rebels also faced justice. They were arrested for carrying firearms, exposed by their neighbours, or driven to the authorities by their guilty conscience and blood on their hands. The city quickly ran out of space for executions. The gallows in the main square spilled out onto nearby streets. The rebels' corpses were left swinging in the wind for a long time, as a grim warning to all the people of Magra. After a swift victory, Gaius Tempest's authority grew stronger. His subjects had been pacified, and no one else had the nerve to lead an armed insurgency against his lawful rule. Once the rebellion was silenced, Magra finally entered an age of peace and calm. And yet, the Overseer learned much from the lessons of the Anizotte revolt. He saw what can happen when a ruler shows weakness and makes concessions to the lowly estates. From that point on, Gaius Tempest sought to preserve order and curtail all unrest at any cost. In time, the rest of the Empire came to the same conclusion. The order established by the twins must remain unchanged, and the entire Empire must abide by it in order to prevent more disturbances and provide peace and prosperity to its people. Like I've said from the beginning, all hail the old faith. Any other faith is heresy. The end. The power struggle in the province was over. Archduke Melanidas and the old gentry had prevailed. Well versed in all manner of plots and schemes, the Archduke secured himself in his castle and remained aloof from the events of the revolt until the Empire's grasp of the province grew weak. As chaos followed in the wake of the revolt, the Archduke and his loyal followers among the oldest Archean dynasties in Magra confronted the Overseer over the Anizotte revolt and the many other ordeals the province had endured over the past few years. With the last of his authority gone, Gaius Tempest had no choice but to return the Overseer's title to the Melanidas dynasty. The old elite gentry soon restored the rule of ancient tradition in Magra. They flaunted imperial law and returned the province to the days of yore, when the noble dynasties ruled their domains as they saw fit. Everyone in Magra now knows that the new faith is a dangerous heresy that must be wiped from the face of the world. Blessed by all the people of the province, the Order of the Inquisition sets out to eradicate every last follower of Photus's teaching. The pyres of the Inquisition are soon burning in countless towns and villages, incinerating the remnants of the heretical doctrine. Outlawed in Magra, the new faith soon becomes illegal throughout the Empire. Good. The crises of the past few years have annihilated the province's former prosperity. The fertile lands have been scorched, the mines have been abandoned, the factories stand idle with no one to work in them. The looming threat of hunger and poverty drives the people to backbreaking labour and the tried and true ways of their ancestors. Commoners flee the cities in droves to flock to villages and towns, hoping to squeeze some paltry nourishment from the inhospitable Magran soil. The province is on the verge of starvation and turmoil. After many long years of disorder and strife, the land of Magra finally found order and peace. The people grew weary of violence and turmoil of any kind. They came to respect the law and no longer fear to leave their homes. The chaos and hostility that once reigned is gone. The people of Anizotte and Magra enjoy a long-awaited age of reconciliation. The Anizotte result was followed by more omens that shook the Empire. The silver tree withered away, leaving nothing but a desiccated trunk and bare branches. Priests throughout the Empire suddenly lost the power to perform divine miracles. What? What? Then the shining pillar began to recede into the distance until it was nothing more than a pale slither of light on the horizon. Those who prayed to the twins soon realised that they were no longer listening. Oh shit. The old man that I spoke to, who I think is the elder, I chose that they should leave their creation alone, because that seemed like the most priestly thing. I read it in terms of leave us to our own devices, we'll manage ourselves, but we'll still kind of acknowledge you. I think they've taken it literally. Black marks of lesser death disappeared from the arms of those who had died and returned. Every death was now true and final. No mortal would ever have another chance to meet the gods before their final judgment. Without the twins watching over them, the people of the Empire are by terror. Change is coming. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. When you opened the city gate, Dorius Autumn was fighting back the rebellion in the streets. He routed a number of gangs and squads that sought to reinforce the main rebellion. Once the Legion had control of the city, the haughty Archnean considered his duty to the Empire fulfilled. He made his way back to the castle of Archduke Melanidas and returned to his military service. No one dared stop him. The Battle of Anizotte won Doriath in great glory. Respected by venerable dynasties in every corner of the Empire, as a hero, he lived a long life. Even in his old age, he remained undefeated in the Duel of Honour. Once order had been restored in Anizotte, the Inquisition hunted Ulrich relentlessly. They refused to let him escape a second time. Despite his power and guile, the rogue Inquisitor could not evade pursuit. With your help, Heretic was tracked down, arrested, and executed. The Willist heresy has been stamped out forever. As one of the leaders of the rebellion, Lennart saw no mercy from the Overseer. By the order of Gaius Tempest, he was arrested and handed over to the Inquisition. They branded the abbot a heretic and sentenced him to be burned at the stake. He faced his suffering and death with dignity, never renouncing his beliefs. Lennart is remembered by the new believers as the great preacher of his day. But among old believers, he left an undying legacy as a nemesis of the Church who violated the twins' divine design. Because new faith is bad faith. By the time this revolt had set Anizotte ablaze, Tommas Guerrero was already living a new life with his family, far from the city. He was finally able to enjoy a peaceful life. The chaos and riots in his home city never reached the sleepy village where your friend and his wife had put down roots. Tommas dedicated himself wholeheartedly to his family and his household. For the rest of his life, your old friend remembers you fondly, and he was always grateful for what you had done for him. He named his firstborn son Niklaus Guerrero. Yay. Ever since she was young, Sophia had been the living embodiment of hatred, the spawn of every hideous injustice committed in the Empire. She had all she needed to wage a bloodthirsty campaign against the Empire and eradicate every living thing in her path, had she prevailed. But Sophia's best laid plans came to naught following your heroic act at the city gates. By the Overseer's orders, the main instigator of the rebellion was hanged in the main square of Anizotte. No execution before or since has amassed such a crowd. Sophia's last words were a furious, desperate wail. War. War to the ends. But the mob only booed and whistled at her, mocking her and her legacy. Some still remember Sophia as a woman who fought fiercely for the good of the common folk, but many more view her as a vicious murderer who was prevented from destroying the entire empire. Hey, Nathan still turns out to be a prophet, which is good. I mean, that sounds an awful lot like heresy, but you're my brother, so I'll let it go. This time. At the fateful hour, you were the one who led the soldiers of the Empire to victory. Gaius Tempest makes you his right-hand man at court. The Emperor himself expresses his gratitude to you. Niklaus of the Brantes is the pride of the Empire and bulwark of her prosperity. Her service for the good of the realm shall be remembered for all time. Chosen by the twins themselves, you have become the leader of faith in Magra. As Patriarch, you restore the old faith to its former glory throughout the province and succeeded in uprooting all false teachings within your grasp. For the rest of your days, you're venerated by every soul in the province, from the lowliest peasant to the most eminent nobleman. You remain the Patriarch of Magra until your true death. You're remembered as the saviour of Anizotte in the face of the Great Rebellion, and the most righteous Patriarch of your time. The tale of the life and suffering of Niklaus Brante. Oh, and I'm dead now. Am I thankful for the life I lived? I am thankful to you, my twins. My twins. What was my life to me? Service. To you, my twins. What did I live for? Faith. My twins. What did I leave behind? Legacy. My twins. Did your life make the world better or more perfect? It became better. It became better because I restored the old faith, which is the only faith. What determined my destiny? A higher power. My twins. And I'm going to the peak of the pillar to be with my twins. Okay. End my life. Well, I think that was possibly one of the better endings I could have got with the fact I was basically a bad guy in this playthrough. Well, the way I look at it, it's a lot of this game is very much down to perception, isn't it? I have never liked the old faith, so I had to kind of throw myself into this and make the old faith strong again, and to that extent I have succeeded. The old faith burnt out the new faith. The world didn't burn in a fire this time, so that's good. And I became Patriarch, so, you know, in terms of my personal route for life, great. It's a shame my entire family had to die in a fire so I could live, but you know what? everyone has to make sacrifices. No, this was good. This playthrough has actually ended up being a lot different than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting peacetime to be as dramatically different as it was, so I'm very, very happy about that. That's kind of reinvigorated me for the Noble playthrough as well, because that's going to be completely different as well. I've had a couple of things I want to try. So I want to do the will. I want to see what happens when you go to the temple with Uther, and he tells you about the willist. So I want to see what happens when you join them. I want to see what happens if you join up with the Latari. So I'm kind of making a list of everything I want to try. Next playthrough, I think, is going to be New Faith. So I imagine a lot of it will probably be very similar setup. I don't know how dramatically different it will be, but I am intrigued to see where that goes and kind of the route that takes, and see if we can have a slightly better ending. I think it's still going to end up being, we still need the Empire to win, I guess, but if the Empire remains in power with this new take on the twins, then maybe, I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, if you want to check this out for yourself, then the link to the game page is in the description. If there's a certain route that you think I should take, or something you want to see me try out, then let me know, leave me a comment. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then why don't you go ahead and hit the like button, the almighty old faith that is the subscribe button. Make sure you that bad boy. And until next time, love you, bye.